evening, welcome to this. Somebody forgot to press the next button. It's fine. He'll figure it out and just press the key off so it'll go off the screen. But currently, I am a talking nerd out logo. There we go. We're back. We have a fancy intro, but apparently still fuck up the intro. So there we go. I've automated the fuck up. I am so proud of that.
Fuck up?
Well, because I didn't take into account that Zed was operating it.
You should have done that. That's your bad.
Welcome to the Nerd Out podcast. This episode will be going on YouTube. Thank you very much to Squarespace. No, I'm joking. It's not. Welcome back. We are trying a new format. I already prefer this format because my voice sounds so much better.
I do as well.
I can't hear your voice, so...
Well...
That sounds like a you issue.
You can't see my voice either. Well, you can't see me. Welcome. I am John Coles. Thank you very much for joining us here on this week's episode of the podcast here on Nerd Out Studios. I'm joined as always by Kevin Moloney.
Hi.
Also Slowpoke 101, and of course Lee Coats.
Hello.
Also known as Quetzy Online.
A very quiet one.
It's because you're so far from your eat your mic.
No.
Okay.
No.
He's treating it. He's treating it
in
with
the past,
with faith.
I never had it on camera. I just used it a lot further away with the gain really.
See. The issue in this room is I didn't automate turning the air conditioning off full fan, so I can still hear that.
Well,
but like when I'm talking really quietly, now you can hear it. It's really good.
no, it's gone off.
Oh, I've automated it. Success.
You automated it.
Yeah. So as always,
over to Zed.
Yeah, I know. You just mentioned it, and someone will fix it out. But yes, welcome to the new format for the Nerd Out podcast. We are trying it. We're going to see how it goes. We are going to be switching cameras. Suck it. We'll see how it goes for a couple of episodes. They're going to complain.
Harsh.
They're going to complain. And
the sofa's gone.
Rightfully so. Yeah, the sofa was set on fire. We decided we didn't need it anymore, so it's gone.
Why have we got aircon in the winter? Because there's like 6 billion computers in here.
Because outside in the corridor, the building tends to set the temperature to like 32 degrees or something stupid.
I turned it off earlier because I was recording an interview for a different podcast that we'll tell you about in the future episode of this podcast. And I turned the air conditioning off because you could hear it in the background. And the room got so unbearably warm to start with. Or after a while, it's just ridiculous. But yes, we are here. This is a much nicer...
I much prefer this. Yeah. It's much better. We can actually look
see
at
each other and we can have laptops right in front of us.
Yeah.
It's like every podcast ever. There must be a reason why people do this.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But yeah, who's got show notes open?
Because
this guy hasn't.
What a surprise.
Have you put it in for me? Yeah.
We've got lots to talk about this week. It's been a busy week.
We have. It's a surprisingly busy week, actually, because it only feels as busy as last week. But there has been a lot more news. In particular, today, there's been a lot more news. It's like people know that this is when we do our podcast, and they deliberately hold off announcements until this. So go on, get us started.
Do you want to do number 2 first? Should we go about the big piece of news?
I pick a number.
Yeah, we'll go with number 2
Choose
first.
it.
Oh, actually, no, we should stick with our format.
Episode -5 based on past activity.
Let's stick with what we normally start off with, and that is the good old cryptocurrency, which is actually, there's a little bit of news about cryptocurrency, but...
It's interesting. There's been some interesting developments. Basically, because everybody's been going bonkers for Bitcoin... or crazy
we're not sure why
for
John's
crypto.
The only one. Yeah, we're not sure why John's the only one wearing headphones.
So I can hear you guys.
We haven't got headphones.
Well, you could put them on. I mean, you won't be able to hear anything. I don't know.
So what's the point in headphones if we can't hear anything?
Oh no. What's the point in ears if you can't?
Okay. Should we
you
just
can have
carry
them
on?
if you
I
want.
put headphones on, but I have a feeling that Zed's using mine.
Cryptocurrency.
This is true. Cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin went a little bit up over the last week. Ethereum's gone up quite substantially. It's currently on a bit of a down curve. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And Litecoin was the surprising one of the week.
Exploded, didn't it?
Absolutely exploded. Went up
like 5 times in a day,
significant amount.
500% in a day, or something silly.
I think Bitcoin for this is the closest. It sounds kind of crazy because in the last week Bitcoin has dropped to about $13,000 per coin, gone back up to $17,000, which is a range of $4,000, which is about a 25% range. That's the closest thing that I've ever seen Bitcoin to being stable, like a 20 to 20.
It's been staying.
That I've seen.
That you've seen. Maybe.
But like recently in particular, that's quite stable for Bitcoin.
Also, Ripple doubled in price.
Yeah,
Ripple's
overnight as well.
Litecoin. So to give you perspective, Litecoin was at £72 last Friday. No, last Thursday.
And
today,
what is it today?
It peaked in the last week at 283, and it's currently at 209.
It's a huge jump.
Pounds. So that's a significant increase for
it's a
cryptocurrency that no one was really doing anything with over the last week. It's just
not
been
long ago. Is that like
investor
£50? So
yeah,
it's a
even
30%
79
increase
last
in a
week
week.
a month ago it was at £47.
Yeah.
And like I'm talking like 3 weeks ago it was only just at 70, and then over the last week it went up to 280.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone is kind of.
Everyone's gone a little bit mad
Bitcoin.
for crypto.
I've just got a temporary microphone until we sort this out because we only made the decision to switch to this format
about 2 hours before.
Yeah, so
we don't plan long term.
The other thing is, all of this kind of had a knock-on effect. Like the software that everybody uses, or a large proportion of the newbies, if you like me into this,
The
that
exchanges.
is Coinbase for Ethereum and Bitcoin and that, and it kind of like crashed.
Coinbase has been struggling for a couple of weeks now. They don't seem to be. They say they're investing in their infrastructure.
Apparently, it was the #1 downloaded app on the US store last week.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. There was also another story, and I'm going to try and find it so you can carry on with that.
I think that has contributed to the fact that Ethereum and Litecoin have gone up
because
in the
they're
past
obviously
week
on there as well, and people
consumers have latched onto Bitcoin, seen that maybe Bitcoin is at the top of its curve.
And you think Ripple is going on there as well?
I think Ripple will be going on there at some point.
I think if Ripple ends up on there, you want to buy before it ends up.
I'm trying to get onto Kraken now, and I'm really struggling to get onto that.
Kraken again is struggling with capacity.
They've got Cloudflare
I've been trying
errors
to
all
register
over the
for
place.
2.5 days, and it just will not.
They have more Cloudflare errors than users.
Yeah. That's actually true. It's crazy.
Because every user's getting multiple.
So, my personal advice for this week when it comes to cryptocurrencies is don't invest right now.
My personal advice is to not take advice from Kevin.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like last week I was saying buy. This week I'm saying don't
There we go. That's so 3 days ago.
I don't think you should buy right this week.
Talking of apps that were number 1 and 2 and 3. The My Ether wallet app was number 3 on the App Store, and it was an unofficial version of the app that managed to get onto the App Store and managed to get to the number 3 place.
Wow.
It was and it was being sold for $4.99.
Wow.
Someone's made a killing on
that.
Yep.
Why didn't we think of that?
That seems like a good idea.
I am not condoning that at
all. I'm still interested in this idea that these guys came up with of an FTB cryptocurrency. I think and we could mine within FTB.
You have to load up
as
Minecraft
you're mining
and
in real
game.
The whole point of FTB is to not mine, isn't it?
Well, yes, but what we could do is
but then you could have automated mining machines. Yeah.
You could do that. Set up your automated quarries to mine your cryptocurrency.
You could actually do a cryptocurrency and have a Java mod that does the mining, and you have to get the thing in the game to do the thing.
Don't do this because it actually might sound like a semi-sensible idea.
But anyway,
it is a semi-sensible idea. But it's not one that should be done.
Yeah.
Should does not mean do.
Yeah. But if we're on the track of giving really bad financial advice, I would say, in terms of cryptos, you should probably try and get into
Ripple, maybe. Right
Ripple.
I think
still probably
maybe some of the other
Litecoin and Ethereum
ones.
if they drop down. The niche ones are okay, but there's so many of them. Ripple's only interesting because it's got backing from other finance companies.
Yeah.
And it's relatively cheap, so you know what, I'm going to put maybe €80 into it. That'll get me about 200 depending on the price on the day.
Yeah.
it's disposable income. I can put a bit of money in
Yeah.
it. I'll get it, and we'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see how cryptos go over Christmas. I reckon they're really going to lull a little bit because most people aren't.
I think people will be cashing in a little bit just so they can spend it on presents and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Just
don't
a
know.
little
I
bit.
think people are just like not able to spend as much as they want, and maybe once January rolls around, then maybe we'll see another resurgence.
I think
Fun,
in January you're going to see a bump.
Fun fact: the most expensive iMac Pro you can buy on the Apple Store is still less than $1 So,
Like, you think about it, people aren't.
I
Gonna be
saw that
investing
tweet
this much
earlier,
because
I thought
they're
it was
spending on
fun.
presents as well.
yeah, I think there's going to be a bit of Bitcoin being spent this Christmas, and
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting because give a gift that keeps on giving. Give Bitcoin. Should we move on?
I think so because the next
Fraction
news is huge news. It really is. Like this is
From one set of asset trades to another,
yeah,
really.
This is massive
Yeah.
news. Well, like some people were saying, this isn't a shock. It really is a shock. Like this is a stunning.
It's a shock to a certain extent. I think
Rupert Murdoch selling anything is a shock.
Yeah.
He does not normally sell. He is a buyer of acquisitions. He does not sell stuff.
Yeah.
But
he's
so
not
what
been
we're on
doing as
about?
well as he
Rupert
wanted to.
Murdoch, owner of the Fox network, has taken a massive chunk of this network. He's kept a little bit for himself, the news stuff and that, but he's basically sold the vast majority of the Fox network to Disney for the grand sum of $52.4 billion or 20 Minecrafts.
Yeah, so it's including all entertainment assets, excluding, as you say, Fox News, business, and sports,
Yeah.
which is
They'll
very
keep the Fox
interesting.
name and they'll split that. I understand that because I understand why Disney didn't want those three things.
Well, Disney already owns ABC, don't they? I'm pretty sure Disney owns
don't
ABC
know. I
as,
really
a,
don't
as a
know.
company, which is they already have a news department.
I think what's interesting is that now technically Disney owns like the F Word and Hell's Kitchen and things like that, which is kind of off-brand for Disney.
Disney owns a lot more than you know.
I don't think that Disney cared about that. I think
Obviously not, because they bought it.
they've bought this for like four things. They've bought it for Fantastic Four, they've bought it for X-Men, they've bought it for The Simpsons, and they've bought it for Hulu. Hulu is a much bigger deal than people are actually thinking because they
Yep.
really want to compete with Netflix. That gives them a 60% stake in
Yeah.
Hulu now. That's
Yeah.
a huge deal. That.
Yeah, but
Because-
only for Americans at the
No,
moment.
but it's the technology
At
that
least
this
at the
comes with
moment.
it.
Well, because Disney is moving all its films away from
Yeah.
Netflix, isn't it? They're
And
going
the
to
other
their own
thing now is
platform.
it's not just their films, it'll also be 20th Century Fox films because they now own all of them.
Yeah.
That'll all be moved off Netflix, I bet you, within the next few months. And the same for all of 20th Century's television programs and stuff like that.
Maybe not so much that. You've got...
I wouldn't be
The
surprised.
reason why Disney are moving their films away is because they traditionally had that Disney Vault. The idea of the Disney Vault was that films only came out every so often. It kept them fresh. It meant that new audiences always got them. And that was how they used to operate as a company.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when you used to get you used to buy a Disney VHS, and then 6 months later it wasn't available. Like, you had to wait, and then they would take it off the
remember
market. Yeah. The Disney Vault,
Then
like...
again, I wasn't really into buying Disney VHS.
So the Disney Vault, they used to do it at theatrical releases. So Snow White would get re-released every 10 years or something. So it was a new audience every time. And then they started doing it with the DVDs and VHSs as well. So they weren't always available. Like, there would be a special period where you could get Snow White on VHS for a while.
like an
Obviously
anniversary edition or something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
some stores would still have stock for a while after. It wouldn't just get pulled off the shelves. But they would stop issuing new stock of it so that there was scarcity of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're trying to do with the Disney Vault, is that now you can't just go on Netflix and in this mix of content get a Disney film. If you just binge watching Netflix for 6 hours, you have to specifically go and watch a Disney film, and they want to, have that special thing of this is where you go to watch Disney. And I think that's what they're trying to do with that.
The rumor that I've heard is they're actually going to do it at a really low initial monthly cost, like a lot lower than Netflix, at least to start off with. They
I
want
think
to build a user base very, very quickly.
They need to be doing it for how much do you spend on a Disney film every year? Like, how many Disney films would you buy on DVD? Maybe
Well, I don't
one
buy
or two.
DVDs.
No,
Zero.
but when you did buy DVDs, how many Disney films would you have?
Well, so
theoretically
I'm
bought?
not a fair person to ask.
I have had a big DVD collection, and I think I can honestly say that I've maybe purchased 0 Disney films.
Yeah, but
But my point is, like, an average family might buy what, 2 or 3 Disney films
Yeah.
a year. They're like
Maybe.
£15 each.
Well,
So
like, if you
whatever
had
that
kids,
is,
yeah.
you've got
Okay, I bought like
3 times-
Frozen for like family members for Christmas and
yeah,
whatever.
so
See,
three 315s is what, 45. So 45 over a year is basically what people are willing to spend on Disney. So maybe 50 quid a year over 12 months.
I don't know. I think it's more than that. And like you've got Pixar as well.
I think like £5 a month is reasonable. I think any more than that for a very
Disney Live is
specific set of
$4.99 a
films.
month at the moment. If that stays at that, they'll get a lot of subscribers because
Yeah,
there's a lot of content.
A
on
lot of
Disney.
families will just subscribe to that.
Yeah.
Particularly if they allow downloads.
And the
if they
thing
do
is,
offline storage for things like flights,
Depends if they
they'll just pay
would,
for those.
if they will actually move all of the 20th Century Fox library onto that.
I
And
think that's going to be
market it
Disney
as
only.
Disney.
It's not going to be rolled into Disney. Like ABC, you didn't really know it was Disney. It is Disney.
Yeah, but
ESPN's Disney.
you don't think they'll roll what into Disney?
I don't
20th
think
century?
20th century won't get rolled
Oh,
into
God,
Disney.
absolutely, yeah.
No, it won't.
I would absolutely put money on that.
Disney Studios is completely different than 20th
yeah,
century.
that's what I'm saying. It's like
It's-
you know,
20th Century Fox is the kind of... I mean, are you... So basically you're saying that Alien is going to be a Disney film?
No, but I think
Because
it'll be on-
Alien was born from a queen, so technically it's now a Disney film.
I
Disney
don't
princess,
think. I don't think.
Which I cannot
that-
wait to see that parade.
I don't think that the Disney alternative to Netflix is going to be exclusively children's or even young person's content.
All I'll say is there's one company that this has made online content significantly easier for that isn't Disney, and that's Apple, because now they don't have to deal with 20th Century Fox, they just deal with Disney, which they're already friendly with because, you know, their co-founder technically started Pixar, and now
Yeah.
there's
Think
a
about-
very close tie between Disney
Do you think
and
they're
Apple.
not going to put Deadpool on this Disney stuff? Of course they are. Of course they are.
No, this Disney stuff is targeted towards kids and young
so
families.
you're gonna put
It's not.
Deadpool next to like
Alien.
I think
Jumbo?
there'll be an
You've got-
18
you're gonna
bracket.
have you're gonna
Dumbo,
have you know
whatever, yeah.
Deadpool, the Avengers,
Guardians of the Galaxy, all of that type of stuff.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Alien, and then like I don't know, Frozen.
Yeah,
Like, that's
but
how it's
not
gonna be.
gonna-
You know,
Netflix
it's gonna
does
be-
that.
it's because you
watch.
watched Alien, you might like
Yeah.
Frozen too.
Yeah, but Netflix does that, like, and they can do it. I think it'll be the reverse of Netflix, where Netflix has the kids channel. I think Disney will have the adults channel.
I don't think they'll want Mickey Mouse to feature alongside
No, I don't think it will feature
Alien.
alongside it.
or
Can we just imagine Alien in Mickey
Deadpool.
Mouse's
Well, let's
clubhouse,
just
or
wait-
Deadpool in Mickey Mouse's
yeah, a
clubhouse?
Mickey Mouse Deadpool collab.
We'll wait to see. I will be very surprised if they
Hang
do.
on, wait. So Disney Life
That'd
is
be a very-
$4.99 a month, pounds or dollars?
Pounds.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I suppose it's technically the
That'd be
same as a
very
subscription to
interesting,
us. So you know,
Be an interesting episode
Disney?
of Mickey's Playhouse.
no,
wouldn't
no,
it?
yeah, it's just Alien down from the
Deadpool.
ceiling.
The other thing
Deadpool
that's-
kills him.
The other thing
Yeah.
that's very
Iron
interesting
Man
about
comes
this
in through the door.
is that Fox were in the middle of trying to buy B-Sky B, and they were having some serious problems because of competition laws. Disney doesn't have such a presence in the UK, so
I really don't.
Disney could end up buying Sky because that deal is still going through.
I
I thought that was part of this purchase.
It's not. So the problem is they own some of Sky now, but they're trying to buy, or Fox were trying to buy the whole thing, but they couldn't because
They
it was,
want
it
all
was
of the
being brought
news.
into like antitrust or monopoly laws. Like because
Yeah.
Fox owns all of these newspapers and stuff like that, and getting Sky News as well as all of that was kind of like anti-competitive. But Disney doesn't have that presence, so it might be
So-
easier for Disney to
Well, it
actually.
does now
It
if
was-
they
it was
bought
20
Fox.
Well, no,
Yeah.
because Rupert Murdoch still owns like the primary news.
it was
stuff in the
20th
UK.
century that was trying to buy B Sky B. It wasn't Fox as a whole.
Yeah, it was-
It
sorry.
was the 20th
Right,
century.
I get
20,
that.
yeah, 20th century Fox. So that might be interesting because if that goes through, then Disney has like also a Sky Online platform in the UK, which is shit. And probably less better than
That
Hulu.
might mean that you get the Disney Channel as part of your regular Sky subscription. Though.
No,
No.
that won't
Well,
change anything. However, it does mean
can
you can
hope.
have an Alien crossover version of with Iron Man,
Match of the
Deadpool
day.
on. Why would it be on Match? That's a BBC.
Okay. Well,
They
you
don't
know,
own the BBC. I was going to say Sky Sports.
Sky Sports.
So you could have Jeff Stelling. You could have 4 men watching Mickey's
I-
Clubhouse on Sky Sports with Alien, Deadpool, and Iron Man in a crossover series. Now that sounds like an idea that shouldn't be done.
I actually can see them including Disney in the Sky subscription if it helped them to sell more subscriptions.
They won't do it though, because it works
it'd be
standalone.
interesting.
I'm really interested to see how Sky's business model works in 5 years' time, when IP is a much bigger issue. When online TV is huge, which they're already doing Sky Q, and when we're at 4K and 8K, I'm really interested to see how well Sky's doing in 5 years.
The only thing I care about in this entire deal is, and it's literally the only thing I care about, and it's the nerdy part of it, is seeing X-Men Marvel crossovers. That's it.
I really just want everything to be one cinematic universe with those guys. It's taken far too long for this to happen at this point.
They've got most of it now.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there.
Sony is the last holdout, isn't it?
Well, Sony's already getting. They only own Spider-Man, don't they? They have a licensing deal for him.
It's a pretty big deal, that though.
They're already.
They have let them use Spider-Man now.
Yeah, because Sony realized to actually make money out of that, they need Marvel to have their cinematic universe.
Yeah.
When they did the original Spider-Man films, they didn't have that cinematic universe, whereas now they do, and that's kind of nice. It's getting there. So we might get X-Men in a future Avengers film, which would be pretty cool.
I have trouble keeping up with all of those anyway.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the new Avengers, but I haven't seen the trailer yet because I'm not watching it until I've seen the
Oh,
trailer.
I am avoiding that trailer like the plague.
Yeah.
I am avoiding all things Infinity Wars related like the plague.
Yep.
You just spoiled the title.
What?
Shut up.
I'm glad we didn't give him a mic.
Like, that wasn't spoiled like 6 years ago.
I didn't even know the title.
I
So
don't even know what you're talking about. So.
It's the next Avengers.
I didn't need to explain it, but yeah.
the next Avengers, much like the next topic, is something that we'll come on to at a later time. But the time is now for the next topic, which is what, Mr. Kevin?
I guess let's segue from
Don't
that.
guess, read it off the thing.
Yeah, I guess let's segue from this because it's like a Disney-related thing. And I know I'm going to be very clear about this. I know John and I don't know if you want to talk about Star Wars. I'm obviously not going to do any
I happily
spoilers.
will. I can give you my thoughts.
You have none, do you?
No.
Because you haven't seen it. I think I'm the only one who's seen it.
Can I just say, I am going to see it. I might go this weekend if I have nothing. I don't think I have anything to do this weekend.
I don't have anything to do.
And the reason why I'm going to see it is I really enjoyed the previous two. Have we seen two together?
No, this is there was Rogue One, which is a side story that doesn't use the main
but the one
character.
prior.
There's The Force Awakens, which was the first.
Yeah.
episode.
So, but the two modern Star Wars films that have come out that we've gone and seen, I have actually really enjoyed.
But you haven't seen the previous films, though, have you?
I have.
Oh, you have.
I struggled through 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And then I lost it in 1, 2, 3 because Marco was watching them. I really couldn't be bothered watching them with him. But I have to say, I much prefer the modern films. I think the pacing is a lot better. I think it's a tighter film. I think it looks nicer as a film because technology's come on a long way.
I feel like I've missed out on an episode, so I'm probably missing.
Well,
Rogue One or something.
Rogue One is not a film you need to watch because although it's set in the Star Wars universe, it's basically before the Death Star incident. It's what leads into the Death Star.
So it's like episode 3.5.
They're basically sort of doing a major cinematic in film of an episode, and then a side story, and then another film, and then a side story.
So they're doing like a Han Solo.
So you get a bit more detail about the. So basically, they can put a Star Wars logo on it, but it's not a full fat film. It's sort of like diet Star Wars. It's in the universe, and the characters are there, but there's no real story. It's just a side
So it's a whole
story.
new set of characters then.
In which one? In Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's a set of characters that was only for that film.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
I could spoil, but I'm not going to. But
No,
yeah,
I'll
they
watch
only
it 'cause
exist.
You should watch it.
It's on Netflix, isn't it? Or it's
Yeah,
on,
I think it just
it's on
came out.
Amazon
It
or
just
something
came
like
out.
that.
No, it's actually on Disney Life. It's right next to Alien.
I can remember seeing it on.
Yeah, no,
on
it does.
the
It does
TV.
exist on there.
It's on Apple TV somewhere.
But both of those films I thoroughly enjoyed, more so than I did the prior films.
So
way more.
I will state I will avoid all spoilers, which means I will choose my words very, very carefully.
A rare thing you do.
But
So you went and saw it last night at midnight.
I left here at 10 o'clock. I drove down that motorway. It was like the scariest journey I've ever taken in my car.
Completely at the speed limit.
I don't actually break the speed limit. As a rule, I don't break the speed limit. But it was very wet, very icy, and very windy.
Of course, yeah.
And I had an hour and 5 minutes to do an hour and 10-minute journey, according to Waze. And Waze is normally very accurate for me.
Is that including missing out all the trailers and stuff?
No, I actually got there just before the trailer started, so I was fine. But I didn't.
So you got there with about half hour to spare. Then.
Actually, yeah, I did. Like,
So did they
legitimately, I
show
did.
the trailers or not? Or did they
Sorry?
Did they actually show all of the ads and stuff?
Yes,
before?
there was a full set of ads and a full set of trailers.
I much prefer midnight releases
Yes.
when they just film.
Straight into the film, yeah. And what was even
'Cause
better
you get your
still,
review out quicker then.
because of the way I did it, and this is crazy, I actually was in a cinema that had 5 people in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There was 5 people in the cinema that I was sat in.
That's busy.
So
For midnight.
It's
No,
busy.
no.
That's a busy cinema.
they
in Barry.
had 17 screens showing the film in the cinema by
Oh,
now.
right. Okay.
Sounds like they could have just done with one.
I think the
multi-view,
last
really.
premiere I went to was Silence of the Lamb,
Yeah.
and my mate fell asleep halfway through it.
I've done quite a few midnight releases.
I like
because
midnight
of where we
releases.
live. It's actually really
Yeah.
easy to do midnight releases.
It's
You
5
see the
minutes from
film,
my house as well.
Yeah, you just roll back home.
You see,
and
that's
you
it.
sleep.
I used to live like 40 minutes from the
Yeah.
nearest
Yeah.
cinema, which
I can
Doesn't
walk to the
really
cinema
work.
from mine.
I
It's that
remember
close.
last
I
year.
can throw a stone and hit the cinema from mine.
I remember.
Yeah.
I can actually hear the cinema from my apartment. So
I'm not quite
I'm on you
that
both.
good, but I'm close. And we
I-
have an excellent cinema. as well.
Last year when we went to Cheshire Oaks was actually when we ran out of charge in my car as well. So I don't want to think about last year too much. It wasn't fun.
So yeah, I've actually sat there. I sat there a lot last night, and I sat there a lot today, and I've read a lot of other people's opinions on this films, because
Other people's opinions matter.
no, they don't matter. But I wanted to see how their opinions married up to my personal opinions. So if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, and there's going to be no spoilers in this at all. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes right now, I think the film is currently sitting at 94% rating, which is obscenely
I can't
high.
spell tomatoes. I spelled tomatoes. 93.
Is it 93? It's dropped
93.
a percentage point.
99% want to see.
But if you go onto Reddit in the Star Wars thing, in the spoilers thread, there's a lot of people hating on this film at the moment.
I wonder why.
There is some reasons, but they're not. So the guy who directed this, a guy called I think it's Ryan, not Johnson. What's his name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the guy who directed. Do you remember Looper with Bruce Willis?
Oh, that was an okay film.
Yes, it was good.
Not a
yeah, I
fantastic one,
enjoyed
but an
that
okay
so
film.
this guy has a reputation for kind of like mixing it up in films and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's his reputation. And you two have you both seen the first film of this, The Force Awakens?
Yes, yeah.
You
we saw it in
haven't.
Barry.
Pretty
Well, you
sure I have.
This is the one where Ray was first and Finn.
Oh,
did it.
yeah. And it's like-
with BB-8, and he goes,
Yeah.
I love that film.
The thing I like about the Star Wars series is like every time the Padawan learns how to defeat the strongest master ever in a shorter and shorter time.
Yeah. So the thing with this, if you go back and you think about that film, and a lot of people have already made this connection, basically what they did was they took a bunch of scenes from episodes 4, 5, and 6 and rewrote them and put them into a new film. Like, you can take practically every scene from The Force Awakens and find the corresponding scene from either episode 4, 5, and 6. Every scene. Like, people have done it. It's crazy. So the story became extremely predictable to watch. And going into this film, there was a huge worry that it would again be predictable to watch. So if you think back to episodes 4, 5, and 6, episode 4 was the story that introduced you to the characters. Episode 5 was the darkness before the light at the end of the tunnel. And then episode 6 was the conclusion to that particular story. And in episode 7, which is The Force Awakens, everybody looked at that as that's the introduction to all the new characters, and they wondered, is 8 just going to be the darkness and mirror Empire Strikes Back? And for the first hour of the film, it does exactly that, to the point where I legitimately almost got up and walked out of the cinema. And then there's a moment about an hour into the film, and everybody who watches it will know the moment when they see it, where the whole thing turns on its head. And he starts to twist and weave the story into directions nobody expects at all. The problem with that is he's done it in such a way that it delegitimizes a lot of The Force Awakens. As in, it's basically said, I don't care about that, I'm doing it my way. And that's causing a lot of controversy.
Yep.
Having said that, taken on its own right as a movie, it's fantastic to watch. The CGI is mind-blowingly good. It's the best I've ever seen by some margin. Robin Williams' music score is incredible. The acting is phenomenal. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, did an absolutely amazing job. Stunning job. And all the actors did really, really, really good jobs. So, as a recommendation, I would absolutely say go in and watch it. But if you are a big Star Wars fan, just be prepared. Because it's not what you expect it to be.
Just as a slight journalistic amendment, John Williams, not Robin Williams.
Sorry, John. What did I say? Robin Williams?
Yeah.
Really? Why did I go there?
I thought you were going to go with Robin Williams and like...
Do you know why
Angels was going to come on
I can
halfway.
think of that is I was looking at Robin Williams stuff a couple of days ago. Do you know I haven't watched a Robin Williams film since?
I've not
I
seen
can't
him for
do it
ages.
anymore.
My favourite, one of my favourite Robbie Williams films was,
Robin or Robbie?
Robin.
Yeah.
Not Robbie. He's not done for. He does songs.
I'm sure he did try films.
Wow. I mean, he tried to take that and it didn't go very well. Was Bicentennial Man.
I enjoyed
I
that.
really like
I
that.
didn't like that one.
A lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
My favourite film of his was a film he didn't star in.
Which one?
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
I thought he was incredible in that.
Mrs. Doubtfire was good.
I never got that. I'm not into kiddie
really
humour.
like
Mrs. Doubtfire and Bicentennial Man, kind of the same thing.
Not really.
No.
No.
It's the same kind of thing, though, isn't it?
Not
no,
really.
not really.
No.
It's a family coming together story, but it's not. I mean, one's got Pierce Brosnan in, the other hasn't.
One of them is a very, very juvenile humour aimed at kids type story.
Yeah.
The other one's a very heartwarming
That's why I find it funny.
type thing.
The other good one that he was good in is
Good Morning
and
Vietnam.
changed the whole landscape of animation was when he was in Aladdin, because there would never voices in animation were never big stars, and he was one of the first to be in a starring role in an animation, which has wouldn't have had Tom Hanks in Toy Story. That would have been a shame.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm really interested. I really sort of want to see Star Wars in a part of me, but not it's not enough that I'm willing to go tonight, or I was willing to stay up for the midnight.
No.
But I think most people are probably going to go see.
I think he's been very, very clever when he's done this film, because I think he's intentionally put in a lot of stuff that he knows is going to stir up conversation and discussion about the film.
Yeah, which is
for
what
a
he wants.
long period of time, which is exactly what he's done.
Yeah.
The things he's done is going to, and the things it's very weird. Like I've been listening to people talk about this today, and they are right. If you look at the way that Disney is approaching Marvel and the way that Disney is approaching Star Wars, considering it's the same company, they're being approached in two very different ways. Marvel is, as we talked about before, it's pre-planned out for the next 20 years.
It's
very formulaic.
but it's also because those are two very different cinematic.
Absolutely,
universes.
yeah. But they're approaching. You would think when,
but they're two different teams as well.
yeah. And with this one, they're just saying to the director, "Go do it."
Yeah.
We won't get
your
involved. And
choice.
it's in some ways it's fantastic. Like it is giving him scope to just go and do it and stuff like that.
It is, and they're going to get a much richer and a much deeper cinematic universe because of it. Because you're going to have a lot of different
I don't know if that's
stories
true,
being
to
told
be
in
fair,
different
because
ways.
I think Marvel's got such a deep
I'm
background
not-
to draw on.
I think
anyway,
I think it's got a large universe.
yeah.
I don't know how much depth there is. The
to
fact that
Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's immense.
Like outside of the main characters, I don't know how.
Yeah, but there's like 60 different main characters in the Marvel universe.
There are, but like, how much do we really know about each one of those characters?
A lot.
A lot, but
Yeah.
not.
You
I'm
may
not
not,
saying.
and
I'm not
I
saying we
may.
know fuck
No,
all.
you may
but
not,
I'm saying
and
that
I may not.
like,
but the
the-
comic nerds
Yeah.
know a ton.
But like, because the comics exist as well, which is very
Yeah.
helpful. But what I'm saying is, in the Star Wars scenarios, you've got these directors who are telling really interesting stories that actually not a lot is necessarily happening in those stories, but there's a lot of time spent
Yeah.
telling those stories, and they're told in different ways, as opposed to Marvel, which is very much, as you
See,
say,
Marvel's
a
stories are
formulaic-
drawing very much upon the existing content.
Yeah.
Whereas with Star Wars, they've basically said, with the exception of the movies, all of the existing stuff which was considered canon, i.e. the books and that, is no longer canon, and they're rebuilding from the ground up.
Yeah.
Which is why things like Battlefront 2, the new Star Wars game, despite its unpopularity, is actually considered canon now. Like,
Yeah, because it's part of the
it's
newer.
part of the new story.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting to see how those two, because now Disney owns basically the top two.
Yeah, they own both of the top two sort of film franchises at the moment.
by
really.
far, and probably will do for a long time to come.
Yeah.
Justice League for DC has basically killed DC now. It was just such a terrible film. It was unbelievable.
Do you want to know something? No part of me saw any trailer or any advert for Justice League and went, I need to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll even catch it on Netflix.
Of all of the films, so here's a funny story about what you say. I went and watched Man of Steel, the
Yep.
first of the revamped Supermans,
Yeah.
and came out really disappointed. And I thought maybe I'd misjudged it, because some people liked it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I went back and watched it again. This is the one, I don't know if you saw it, where Russell Crowe is Superman's dad. And
I gonna go out on a limb here. I don't like Superman. I haven't watched any of his films.
yeah, don't. It's awful.
I've not watched any of the old films. I've not watched any of the new films.
Don't.
I've
Have
not
you
watched
watched
Batman
Wonder
versus
Woman?
Superman. Yeah,
Wonder Woman is
Good film.
genuinely a good film, but it's
Good
the
film.
only one.
yeah.
Superman versus Batman was terrible for like 80% of that film.
I've not really watched any of the Batman films.
Don't. It's not good.
I watched the Lego version. Lego films have been really good the last few years. There are reasons for that. Vox have done really good videos on why those films are a lot better.
That actually explains a lot. Apparently, the Disney CEO is a member of the board of Apple. That does explain a lot.
Yeah, they've always had that interconnectivity.
That
Yeah,
interconnectivity.
they've always been close as companies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so because when Disney purchased Pixar and Apple and Pixar were very close,
Yeah.
and Steve Jobs was on the board of Disney directors and one of Disney's board of directors.
It should be made clear as well,
It's
actually, the
always very,
Disney
very
deal
close.
is not a done deal. It still has to get through
Yeah, still got to go
regulatory.
through all of the regulations.
It's not-
and all that kind of.
It's got to get through antitrust in America. And depending on Trump's mood that day, that could go in.
Let's be honest, it's going to go through. So it's the new America now. It's not Obama's America. You know, it's not a good America. Not necessarily a bad America. It's just a different America.
I thought
In
you
the
were gonna
same way,
say
you know,
it's a great America.
No, no.
No.
I would tell you to go out the door, but we've replaced it with a wall, so you can't even go that way.
We're moving too
That's
quickly
actually-
through the subject.
That's not something that's on here.
Which one?
The net
What?
neutrality's not.
Well, net neutrality, I didn't put on there. That's why I asked if you guys wanted anything. Net neutrality is a difficult one, isn't it?
We'll
at the moment?
discuss that at the end because that's going to take way longer than it should.
Yeah. It's a. Did you see his video? What's his name? Ajit.
Ajit Twat.
What's his name, Zad?
I don't know.
You showed me the video.
Ajit
I can't
Pre.
pronounce it.
Okay.
FCC.
The guy who's now the
chair-
FCC head released a PSA video that actually.
Ajit Pai.
Yeah. It nearly made me vomit, this video.
Well, can we come on to this at the
Yeah,
end? Because otherwise it's just going to
So
be an hour
Zed
of us
brought us
ranting
a
about
story today. That is a kind of fairly big deal if for some people, and this is the game Star Citizen.
Which is what?
Star Citizen is a game that was developed based on funding from crowdsourcing, and over the few years of development, it's raised a couple $100 million, mainly through the selling of ships and stuff in game, which I know you just like.
They did like a crowdfunding round.
They raised tons and
sold
tons and
ships
tons of money. And when they originally started the game, what they did is they went to Crytek, which is the people behind the CryEngine thing, which they use in... What's the name of that game? Oh, man.
Star Citizen.
No, the game that the CryEngine is first used
Crisis.
on. Crisis 1, 2, and 3, yeah. So, which is a very good engine that holds its weight even today.
Okay,
For a long time, that engine was used to benchmark.
He doesn't know
graphics
his
cards.
John's whispering.
What?
No, it's for the viewers.
What?
What?
So anyway, yeah. When they originally signed the deal, they went to Crytek, said, "Can we use our engine?" And Crytek said, "Yeah, fine, use our engine. We just want you to make sure you put our logos everywhere, and if you come across any bugs and stuff like that, you let us know, and we want to make sure you're exclusively using us, blah, 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 blah." So then, this is not on here. A couple of years after that, Crytek started to get into financial difficulties and trouble. So Amazon went to Crytek, licensed the Crytek engine, or the CryEngine, made their own version of it, and Star Citizen started to use that version instead.
It's called Lumberyard.
Yeah, that's the one. So, not Lumberjack like I put in the show notes. Anyway, that deal, and this is where it kind of gets all funny, is that deal with Amazon kind of saved Crytek from bankruptcy. Because they were literally on the verge of it. That deal... So anyway, they move over. Now, Crytek are getting a bit upset a couple of years after the fact and saying to Star Citizen, "Well, you agreed to use our engine exclusively. You're no longer using our engine, using somebody else's engine. We want a bunch of money in compensation." And the more kind of like interesting fact is they want them to rip out all existing code from the CryEngine from their existing game, because apparently they've seen evidence on videos that there's still actual CryEngine original code in the code, and that would cause all kinds of trouble for CIG, which is the game developer, because it's a massive game at this point, and trying to separate CryEngine code from what's it called?
It's a massive game, but it's still not released yet, is it?
No. It's never going to get released.
Some of the comments on the
Never
article
gonna
that
get
you've
released.
linked to us is saying that this is going to sink CIG
It could
and
very
Star
well.
Citizen, and I think it's likely.
If
I mean, first of all, it's a Kickstarter game. It's never going to get released. Second of all, there's now a lawsuit on a Kickstarter game that wasn't going to get released, so definitely isn't going to get released now.
It's a very interesting one, because basically, from what I can tell, CIG have no leg to stand on. Like, Crytek have a very legitimate claim here.
Yeah, they have a contract.
But the kind of the side
lawsuit reads interesting.
There's two interesting side things to this. The first one is Crytek are going against Amazon, which basically saved them from bankruptcy. But I guess that's like neither here nor there. That's history. The other one is, and this is kind of very interesting, and for some reason Crytek never decided to follow through on this, which is a stupid move and could cost them in the future. The person who negotiated the contract with Cytec from CIG, the lawyer, used to work for Crytek and was the one that set up all of the licensing stuff in the first place. Like, so a lawyer works for Crytek, sets up all of their licensing stuff, leaves Crytek, along with a bunch of other Crytek employees, goes to work for CIG, and then comes back and negotiates a contract with CIG and Crytek. That's just like, why they never said that's a conflict of interest, I don't know. But they didn't, and now that's going to be a right little mess in the courts in America. Because that's a lot of money on that game. A lot of money on that game.
But none of their money. All Kickstarters and all of the backers' money, which is often why these campaigns are so easy to just go, oh, fuck it.
Yeah, this is true.
Lawsuit,
This is true.
we don't need to fight it. We'll just collapse, fold the company. It was a nice 2 years spending that 200 million. Problem solved. And that's my real issue with Kickstarters at the moment. Or crowdfunding in general.
I don't think I'd ever do crowdfunding, because unless it was someone I was really, really interested in, and I'm not.
Crowdfunding to me is Bitcoin. I can put my money in. Hopefully, in 2 years, a package might show up.
No, because that's
with
not
the thing I
crowdfunding.
ordered, right? Or crowdfunding is
You
putting
don't get
money-
anything back for crowdfunding.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, that's the whole
That's
point.
what Kickstarter's for.
Kickstarters.
That's what
That's-
crowdfunding
Yeah, well,
is.
okay,
Every
well,
crowdfunding
what do you
platform
think
gives you a
crowdfunding
pledge.
is?
Well, crowdfunding is just like
It's not
you
investing.
just put money in.
No, that's
No.
investing. That's crowd
Okay.
That's
investing.
crowd cube, kind
And
of.
crowd
And even
investment.
then, you do get something back because ultimately what you're
It's
buying
ne-
is
it's
a
an equity.
share in
Yeah,
the
it's an
company
equity
or an interest.
No,
in it.
with crowdfunding, you don't get a share in the company.
N-
You
no.
absolutely don't.
No. So crowdfunding.
No, but that's what
Crowdfund-
Crowdcube is.
Oh, I've no idea what Crowdcube is. I've never heard of that.
Well, you used it for Monzo Invest. Oh no, you didn't invest in Monzo.
I didn't invest in Monzo.
Crowdfunding define.
So basically, crowdfunding is where you buy something or promise or you pay for something that the company you're paying promises to deliver potentially at some point in the future, but they might not actually deliver that
They-
because
no,
they're
yes.
not.
Like what you're saying.
legally
What you're
held to
saying is like right. Yes. By definition of crowdfunding, you don't have to give a pledge reward. Okay, it's just typical on the internet that if you're doing a crowdfunding campaign and you say, "You give me $50, I will give you this." Like I'll give you a
Okay,
T-shirt.
so yeah, there's multiple
Yeah.
types of crowdfunding. So
Yeah,
that's what I.
But the
Well,
majority of
yeah.
crowdfunding websites usually do a pledge-based system. So
It
even
works
like
on tiers,
Patreon,
so-
Patreon is crowdfunding,
Yeah.
and you don't, as a creator, which we have an update on Patreon actually, but yeah, you don't have to do a reward tier. Same on Kickstarter, you don't have to do rewards. You're just encouraged to.
Yeah. So they would typically, most campaigns will typically have like a low tier of like $1 to $5 or something that is just
You-
we'll say thank you, maybe send you a card or something.
You
and
can
then from
also-
there up, it's typically
Yeah, you get like
you
the
actually get
backer-only
product or
updates
something.
and things on the
Yeah.
$1 tiers. But you can also remember when you do a Kickstarter reward, you don't have to choose the reward. You don't
Yeah,
have to
you can just
take it.
give
You can
money.
just give them money,
Yeah.
which some people do. The last thing I crowdfunded, so I've crowdfunded 2 things in the last 2 years. I do one a year because then I'll get a present in 3 years' time.
Maybe.
So 2 years ago, I crowdfunded I contributed to the crowdfunding for Move by Tepatron, which was a little, basically Bluetooth blind controller, so you could put your blinds up and down.
Oh, that'd be handy.
It really would.
But you're moving out soon,
It
and-
would have been. It really would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's now over 2 years. I emailed them recently. They said that they are going to be shipping soon, which is what they said 2 years ago.
Is that going to be before you move out of your flat
Don't
that
know,
has
but I'll
blinds?
have to get blinds in a new place. The other one that I recently crowdfunded was iBricks, which is the little Lego bricks that have wireless charging technologies that light up. So you can put lights in
yeah.
your Lego models, and I really, really want that.
that would be really cool. I could see how you would use that in that. That would
Yeah,
be
like
awesome
in that, but also in the little restaurant as well. I could have all the lights inside, and like this whole backdrop could have like lots of nice little models with lights inside, and it'll light really nicely.
I'd love to win the lottery and just rent an office and build the creator.
Just all of them. Yeah,
just
it'd be good. It'd be good.
all
But
of
yeah, they're the last 2 things that I've crowdfunded. I try and not now.
I think I would
so
only
many
look at
things
something
fall.
if it was like a short thing and was really, really useful.
I've put some money into like people who are making DVDs and stuff. Like they want to make a feature film because I know what the costs are and what the risks are with that.
Yeah.
And I'll happily give somebody $10 and get a digital download.
I
There've been some really good films made that way.
I
so-
am lying. I did crowdfund one thing. I've just remembered. Exploding Kittens.
Oh yeah.
I put money into that.
But that was a fairly safe bet because the people who did it had a prior track record, and that's like the big thing.
Yeah.
Is a lot of the time these people have no idea what they're doing, particularly in the tech thing. Like, if you want, there's a really good YouTuber called Stop Droppin' Retro who I watch, and he's got a really funny video called "Stop Buying Robots from Indiegogo." Because if you just watch, Indiegogo is like the Wild West of crowdfunding, right? Kickstarter, if you don't have a prototype and you get money, they'll just go, no, you can't do that. You have to have a prototype. You have to have a working model. So there was a razor that was meant to use lasers to shave the hair. It was really good, called Scarp or something. They got $4 million on Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter looked at the video and went, no. And they just shut it down. They refunded all the money. They went, no, you're not having it, because the video was using. They had like a little metal wire that was actually doing the cutting, and it was a fake prototype. And they're like, no. They then went on to Indiegogo. Indiegogo don't give a shit. You can put anything on it. Like, I could literally go on Indiegogo and go, I'm going to make Half-Life 3. They don't care. I can Indiegogo that. I can crowdfund on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
And it's like just, there's so many shitty robots on there that are never going to work. But they're really funny to watch not work, and watch all the backers in the comments think they're still going to work. And there's some really good YouTube videos from it. I take pleasure out of watching these Kickstarters just fail, which is probably the sadistic side of me. So, it's fun. It's fun. It's interesting, certainly. Yeah. Maybe the next Star Wars film we crowdfunded. Who knows?
I don't think so.
I think pretty much everyone would know that that's not going to
It'd be great. It'd be crowdfunded between Disney, Marvel Studios, and the Alien team.
It's pretty obvious that this film, no matter how good or bad it is going to be the highest grossing film in the history by some margin.
It will not be the highest grossing film in history.
Do you not think?
No.
What do you think? What is the current highest grossing film?
Titanic, I think.
It will smash that.
Oh, I think it's not
no.
Titanic anymore.
Avatar.
I don't think it is.
Avatar was second, I think.
I don't think it's Titanic. I think that's been
We're
long
all
beaten.
rapidly Googling.
I think it's long.
It's a James. I'm sure it's a James Cameron.
Gone with the Wind.
Highest grossing films. I don't know. I don't even know where. No, Avatar is number 1. Titanic is number 2. Star Wars: The Force Awakens is number 3. Jurassic World at number 4. The Avengers at number 3. Sorry, 5.
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
Furious 7.
Adjusted. I'm looking at the one.
The Last Jedi is going to smash that. How much has it got to beat? 2.7 billion. Is that in its entire history,
dollars.
not at the box office?
Worldwide gross, yes.
Yeah. Well, does it say top box office? What has it got a top box office?
Oh, I can do top box office,
which is different because its gross is a little bit
all-time
higher.
worldwide.
The one I'm looking at is highest grossing films adjusted for inflation.
Yeah,
and Gone with the Wind is top there, followed by Avatar,
Who
then
cares
Star
about
Wars,
inflation
and then
though,
Titanic.
because ticket prices used to be a lot more expensive. International box office. I can't list it by the international box office. See, also all-time international. There we go. That's the one I want. So, by international box office, Avatar's still number 1. Titanic's still number 2. Fast and Furious 7. Sorry, Furious 7 is number 3. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is 4. Jurassic World, The Fate of Furious.
I'm quite happy to stake
Harry
money
Potter.
that.
And the Deathly Hallows Part.
I'm quite happy to stake money that this will smash.
Avengers
Avatar.
are the next 2, and then Frozen, and that's it. So Frozen is where the cutoff is, and that was at 873,496,000.
The hype is
Beauty and the Beast is following that one.
Yeah. The
I've
hype
got
is
a list
incredible. It's
100.
absolutely incredible.
It's
But
interesting.
It must be the most hyped film in history. Though.
Which one?
Last Jedi. It must be. I can't think of anything that's been hyped more than this. Do you know? I honestly think.
I don't think it's been hyped.
Oh God, yeah.
I've hardly heard anything about
Are you
it.
joking? There's been so many trailers.
I'm not
that have got
joking.
Hundreds of millions of views on all the trailers.
I work in an office filled with
Yeah,
nerds,
well, okay, so that's
and
okay.
nobody's been talking. about it.
No one in the office has been hyped about
Yeah,
it.
but none of you guys like.
There's a dozen kids in the office that are. I say kids. It's like there's a dozen
We were, because a lot of people,
20-year-olds
a lot of people were hyped about the first new Star Wars film. What was it? Return. Oh,
We'll see. We'll know in a couple of weeks.
No one has been talking about it.
Don't get me wrong. This film will do well. It's got a Star Wars logo on it. It's got, I assume, a crawling credit thing in the beginning.
But I
it
think
will do
there's
well.
definitely been films in the past that have been more hyped.
I think there's been films that people have been more excited for, like that. Like the final Harry Potter films, a lot of people were
that
excited
was
for.
huge.
But
absolutely huge.
I can remember Titanic being an immensely anticipated movie when that came out, because that was being filmed
James
for
Bond
years.
films. Mamma Mia was a huge one in certain circles. I remember, Mamma Mia was the last time I went to a cinema, and 2 weeks after the film came out, there was still a huge queue for it. Not last time I went to the cinema, but last time there was a huge queue.
Actually, I think you could argue that the first series of Lord of the Rings films, when they came out, were
Fuck
also
Lord of the Rings. I
seriously
hate Lord of the
anticipated.
Yeah, but if you
'cause
go and look at it, the ones that did really well was 2 and 3. 1 was amazing, but 2 and 3 were the ones because the story had already been
But I think
anticipated.
that's probably because a lot of people didn't know what this film series was going to
Yeah,
be.
well, and it's the
I-
same with this one. The Force Awakens started the hype.
Yeah.
Rogue One continued the hype, and now you've
Oh.
got this.
I don't disagree that there's been continued interest in Star Wars over the last 3 years. Like, since the new films series is coming out, Star Wars is constantly talked about. But I don't think there's been a huge hype for this film. Like, there hasn't been this huge thing of countdowns coming towards the film or anything. It's just been like, oh, it's
No.
coming out soon. Oh, I might see it.
You're joking? No, you countdowns.
Not in people that I talk to, and there have been for other Star Wars films before.
I mean, we walk through the town centre every day, and it's like we don't really see any kind
in
of.
fact, there's no advertising.
No.
for the Star
not
Wars film.
sure. Correct. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first film in history where tickets went on sale 8 weeks before it hit the box office.
I don't doubt that they went on sale that far in advance. I don't doubt that they might have sold out that far in advance.
They didn't sell out, obviously,
but-
But no, because there was only 5 people
in the cinema I was in.
Yeah.
A lot of places sold out, but
My
It didn't
point
sell out
was
quickly.
more like, okay, there's been a big countdown because the cinemas wanted to make their money 8 weeks ago, just like Black Friday is so businesses can make their Christmas trade earlier in the year.
It's still like pre-ordering games,
But
isn't
it's
it?
like
Pre-order your cinema tickets.
there's been hype, but it doesn't matter when those pre-orders went. They could have gone on 12 weeks in advance. People would have still the same people would
Yeah,
still
yeah.
have bought them. They could have gone 4 weeks in advance. People would still have bought them.
Yeah.
I don't see that affecting it really.
we'll see. 41
Yes.
million views on the trailer.
Yeah. I know a random guy from South Korea that got more views on a YouTube video than that. So I don't know. I know of.
You don't know him personally.
I don't know him personally.
Just heard his name.
He's a bit of a psycho, really. Moving swiftly on, what do we want to move on to then? Do you want to move on to the lengths that people will go to?
This is something that you guys, I know, I'm not really going to have a bit
The
of
reason I'm not interested in this
I know you're not.
is just because the sources cited are both from Kotaku, and that just like
That isn't the only one, but I just,
Yeah.
know it's true. I just thought
Uh-huh.
this. The
They're just
first story I
Hang on,
didn't
wait,
think
what-
was
what-
interesting.
What is it about?
It's about,
Does
World
it
of
involve
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft?
but it's not the game that I'm interested in,
I'll just sit.
and
this
it's
way.
not the first story that I'm interested in. It's the second story, and it's why I titled it. So
So if it's the second story, why is the first story in the show
because
notes
the first story gives the second story context.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sorry, I've been caught off ground by a random boob image in the side of Kotaku.
Okay.
Battlegrounds, please fix this awful bra. Why? This is a non-issue, and this is why this is not a credible source.
yeah.
This is so.
I joke.
Kotaku is
okay.
like a
I know.
Kotaku is like
it's the
Daily
scum
Mail
it's the
of
scum
the
the
gaming
pond,
industry, isn't it?
basically, yeah.
The
Could be
first part of
worse.
this story is not very interesting.
Could be on
It's like
Nerd
a daily
Out.
sport.
So, have you played World of Warcraft?
A grand total of 0 times.
And you?
I have
Dabbled.
something stupid. Dabbled. I dabbled for about
He-
600 fucking days of
he
playtime.
dabbled like Bob Ross.
He's
did.
like me.
Yeah, he dabbled
So,
in World of
Have you
Warcraft.
played with Mythic Bob bosses?
No, I
Okay,
have
so-
no idea what that is.
In the latest expansions, they brought in the concept of mythic bosses, and then basically what they did is they made bosses, different versions of the bosses. There was an easy one so that everybody could get the story. There was a medium one, and then there was a very, very hard one.
Right.
And Mythic is the very, very hard one. And the final boss from World of Warcraft, apparently I didn't know this, and like I said, I don't really care about this because it's no interest to me anymore. There's a guy called Argos the Unmaking, and he was released a week ago, and in that week the top girl did 320 attempts and finally beat him. Whatever. Don't care.
They get paid to play, so, you know.
I don't
That's a
think these
wi-
ones do.
I wish EA would try
Yeah,
that.
I don't think these ones do.
I like Top Guilds actually make decent money off of.
Dollar.
The
They do.
esports ones do, but I don't think the Raiders
No,
do.
the Raiders do.
Well, they might do from streaming and stuff like that. But I don't know if they're sponsored.
they get sponsorship on their website and stuff like that because those websites are stupid popular.
Yeah.
These top guilds won't post on the website, so we certainly won't post strats. Never. It's not like it used to be.
No, they don't post strats, but even they have a following. And is this Methus or Method?
Method is the name of the guild.
Right. Yeah.
But this leads me on to
I
the
used to
story
play
that
with them.
actually I did. Feel free
Well,
to move away.
Method seems to be sponsored by DX Racer Jinx and Twitch.
They probably just get some chairs and some t-shirts and stuff like that. I can't imagine they get as much money from them.
Someone like Twitch might pay them money.
The guild master might get a bit of coin.
Yeah.
But that's about it. They're certainly not going to fund 40 players.
The guild leader of Method is actually a huge Twitch partner, or was.
Is that George
Georgiargis or something.
Yeah, he's got 33,000 followers on Twitch. That was who I ended up just looking at.
So,
Where do I recognise Method from?
Method's a massive European guild.
yeah, it's huge.
No, Method do other sports now
Yeah,
as
they
well.
do a
Because
lot of
they have their Rocket League team one.
Yeah.
That's where I recognise their logo from.
Yeah, no, that's
Because I was
right.
watching the Rocket League.
'Cause they
Never
just,
mind.
like-
Sorry, World of Warcraft.
Yeah. So, one of the guilds, and this is something that does interest me, that was competing with Method was a guild called Limits or Limit. I'm not sure which one it is. And apparently the reason, or one of the primary reasons they think they didn't manage to succeed, was because when they were going after this final boss, and I find this story hilariously interesting, was one of their healers was benched for the fight. They were sat down and said, we're bringing in other people. And this healer got very upset at this fact. Then, using shortened Earls, managed to scrape the IP address of other healers in their clan, and then DDoSed them to prevent them from logging on to the raid so that they could get their spot, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Like the lengths that you all go to participate in.
It depends how much they were getting paid to be part of the raid.
Well, they wouldn't. This is what I'm saying. These people won't be getting paid. The members.
You
won't.
keep believing that. You think the top guilds are doing it for nothing?
If they are, then things have changed dramatically in the last few years. Because I certainly didn't get paid when I was raiding the top level.
Were you in a top 3 guild?
They
I was in
became
the top 3 guild in EverQuest. Yeah.
they became suspicious when Adios or Adois showed up at the exact right moment to claim his newly open raid spot. The awkward moment that the TeamSpeak lady gives you away. User joined your channel. Oh, really? Everyone else just left because they got DDoSed. What a coincidence.
Yeah, no.
I love that. Oh no, so it was on Mumble. It was on Mumble, not TeamSpeak.
Oh yeah, because
No one uses TeamSpeak anymore because fuck TeamSpeak.
Yeah, it's.
Unless you want to sponsor us, in which case, well, still fuck you. But you know.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do, but I would be very surprised if there's any real.
I
money
expect
in
there was
that.
some there would be some financial reward for a world first. I guarantee it. And whether that's from sponsors or whatever, there would be some financial reward for.
Oh, I don't
world
deny
first,
that, but I don't think it's anybody other than the guild leader getting that.
No, I think there'll be some level of money going to the member. I don't think they're.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make a wage for it.
I don't think they would. It's not like a life-changing amount of money.
I don't think it would be
but
any money.
I think it's enough that they can probably work like 3 days a week and they can raid the rest, or like 2 days a week. and
Yeah,
raid the rest. Like
something
there
like
will
that.
be
You
financial
think
support from that.
40 to 50 people are earning
there
20 to
aren't
30,000
40 to
dollars?
50 man raids anymore.
No,
are
but there's
there?
40 to 50 people in a raiding guild.
No, I think the main people who actively
It's a
keep
25-man
raiding.
raid.
I
You
think
will
they,
have
I think
40
that, I think
people.
they'll get paid per raid.
Yeah, but even if they do, that's 25 people raiding 320 times in a week.
Yeah.
If you get
You
a
think they're gonna
world first as a guild, there
I
is
think-
going to
I think-
be some payoff for that with sponsors.
knowing how like online
And I
sports
don't know how you
esports
think
has
that's
grown.
not a thing.
Because I don't see where the value would be in that in the sponsorship.
Like, well, just look at how much esports has grown over the last few years.
But
Definitely,
I'm not denying in
there's
esports.
definitely some amount of
In
money
arena,
going to
I
it.
absolutely agree. In arena, there will be people getting paid a shit ton of money to play WoW.
No, but I
Arena.
think like there's people like Twitch who will happily go and sponsor these guilds so that they get more content on their site because, like,
Yeah.
you know, World of Warcraft people
Oh,
have a
no,
lot
yeah,
of money to spend.
I don't disagree that
Like,
they'll
I think
sponsor them.
I'm not saying it's going to be a life-changing amount of money, to use a phrase from Q. I think there will be some level of money being
Like,
paid for the people in these guilds.
I've
You need
done-
to attract
I
the
have
top
done
talent. That's the
a
idea.
lot of research into this, and very, very few professional people in the esports industry get paid in actual cash. They get goods, they get boxes, but very, very few get actual cash.
I think there's some level of money changing.
Oh no, there is some, but it's only
Thank
the
you.
very top few. I can tell you
whether it's cash or goods.
Still
if you're not
declarable.
in the raid, you're not getting it.
no.
Still
Well, I
declarable.
think they'll just get a chair each, and
Oh, a chair. Yeah, but you just say, oh, they'll just get a chair each. A chair is $200.
yes, but they don't need to raid. They don't need a chair every raid. Once they've got the chair, they've got the chair.
Yeah, Rushmead, I agree with you. I did keep thinking Kev was saying girl as well instead of
Let's
girl.
move
He
on.
was saying Earl instead of
Yeah.
URL.
No, there's no way we're ever going to.
No, it was when he was saying guild. I thought he was saying girl,
Oh,
and it really, it like I thought that's what he was saying. One day,
in any case, it's a Kotaku story.
one
so
day we will grow
credibility
to the
is-
point where we will get
is
transcode.
hazy
and
at
we'll be able
best.
to watch.
So you want to talk about net neutrality?
Well, have we got anything else to talk about before?
I don't.
we
I
went
haven't. So I
for,
don't know if you have.
52 minutes.
I don't know if you have. You
I
had.
don't know.
You did have another subject, didn't you?
What
I'm
was
not
it?
sure. I don't know. I do remember you saying you had something else.
I can't remember. It was a good topic as well.
Was it? Well, we've had the Game Awards, but I don't really.
Zelda did new DLC, didn't they? Nintendo
can't
did
say that I
DLC for
follow
Zelda
Game
Breath of the
Awards.
Wild.
That was the only thing I was going to mention. But
Announced
these
that
two
night.
again,
Got
haven't
released.
like. It's not really. Nobody's really going to care about it. I was playing Fallout 4 VR this week, which I found very good. Let's move on from that.
Yeah, I was going to say stick
Yeah,
with my
it's not
original
What's this?
theory.
Net
on-
neutrality overturned.
Well, yeah, that was the
VR is
thing.
the-
Is this what you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, but there was something that was before.
So they have actually managed to overturn the rules then.
FCC evacuated during a net neutrality film because they thought there was a security alert.
Like the top 4 posts on Reddit now are about that thing.
What's that?
What was it?
FCC, the net neutrality overturned.
Oh, right.
There's the best part of 200,000
Yes,
upvotes
but
between the
is it
4.
done?
Between the 4.
What were we going to talk
I
about?
don't know.
Chat, can any of you remember?
How would they remember? You didn't tell them.
We did.
Did
And
you?
you're like, oh,
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
That was net neutrality, wasn't it?
No, there was something else. There was definitely something else.
Twitch.
What about Twitch?
John said he wanted to talk about the fact he was on a Twitch interview.
No, that wasn't it.
You
That
did
was
say
last.
that.
That was last week. No. That was a different interview.
Okay.
The interview for today was completely not Twitch. It was a completely different thing. There was something, and I've forgotten what it was.
You're not very good at this. You should write it down when you.
I should have
forget
written it
things like
down,
this.
shouldn't I?
We should have like notes for the show on what we want to talk about.
Zed,
You mean like show notes?
use the wall and get out. Get it? Because there's no door there. Because it's Donald Trump's wall. I don't know. Net neutrality. We'll discuss that, and then I can try and remember. So basically, the internet's going. So if you want to keep watching this episode and future Nerd Out Studio streams, you'll need to contact your local internet service provider and pay them the fee of, I think it's $10 a month for Twitch access now. If you want YouTube access, it's a further $5. No, essentially they've repealed the net neutrality stuff, which
The irony is that the viewers have been having a lot of trouble with buffering during the stream today.
it's actually because net neutrality is gone.
Yeah,
So
it's
all of the
begun.
bandwidth is being used for Netflix because they're paying for it. But yeah, Netflix tweeted out that they're disappointed on it. So here's an interesting one that I think it's the Attorney General for New York State, which is Mr. Eric Schneiderman. Really nice name. He is going to be filing a lawsuit with the US government, I believe, for apparently it's an illegal rollback of net neutrality. So that's interesting that's going to happen, because if there's a lawsuit over it, hopefully it'll be much like the time when Donald Trump tried to do his Muslim ban, that people will turn around and go, actually, no, you can't do that. And it'll just end up not actually happening, because...
Wasn't he caught out in a video saying, saying he was a Verizon stooge? Like a couple of days ago?
But that's what the leader of the FCC, whatever the fuck his name is.
I'm literally like so oblivious to all
That's
that.
what his video was about. He was like, oh, haha, I used to be a Verizon lawyer, but let's not worry about that, because that doesn't affect my impartiality at all. Like, I appreciate that gives him an insight into how the business works, but that gives him an insight into how the business works. And you've now got this person leading the FCC in one of the most interesting fights. I mean, there are countries that already don't have net neutrality, and we've seen it go tits up in those countries.
I think Portugal's one of those.
Yeah, Portugal's one of the few places that doesn't have a net neutrality law, and you, if on mobile phone contracts, you can pay extra for Snapchat. Like,
yeah. Why would anyone do that?
like, why the fuck is that a thing? Like, I pay a shit ton of money for data already. Why do you get to dictate how? Like, yeah, okay, you're not going to charge me for the data. Fine, you're just going to charge me for what websites I use. Okay, but it needs to be really fucking cheap. Or you know what? Just have open access and just charge me for the bandwidth I use.
But you can't do that in America.
What?
This whole just make everything equal and free. It's an entire nation that's built on corporate corruption. The entire nation is built on it.
Yeah, but we've done fairly well for the last 30, 40 years having an open
agree
internet.
that that's true in any way.
Oh, like, I know that they've extorted money out of companies, and we've not had perfect net neutrality for the last few years. I mean, fuck.
No,
T-Mobile's been, T-Mobile's been...
So you'd be quite happy when
video
next time
out,
you go
but-
to the US and you've got your data allowance on your mobile, but you actually haven't paid extra for the email package.
You
So
understand that?
Do you know what I find interesting? What happens if everybody starts using VPNs to a country that has net neutrality?
well, you have to pay extra for VPNs.
Yeah, but if you paid just for the VPN,
Yeah, which
then you
I
won't have
do.
to pay for all of the other stuff. So basically, internet, if all of the net neutrality in the world goes, we'll start a country, we make net neutrality a thing there, we get a shit ton of bandwidth to it and have like a Raspberry
Is that
Pi.
like Sealand?
Yeah.
Is it
like we have-
Sealand?
Yeah, sealand.org. We have a shitty Raspberry Pi, and we run an open VPN endpoint there, and then
And just
everyone
let
can
everybody
VPN
through
to it.
You think a Raspberry Pi would keep up with that traffic?
Yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, it'll be
We've seen
fine.
how good those things are.
It's $35.
You can run RetroPie. I mean,
If we have to buy a country, we won't have much money left over for fucking Dell servers.
if I
That's
can play
true.
Mario Brothers and Mario Brothers 2 on it, I can surely do that.
Like, we can take, I don't know, 50 million AOL subscribers, you know?
Yeah.
They've only got 56k.
I've had a story. I've had a story.
Have you?
You've got a story. What's your
Is this
story?
the first story you've contributed?
Shut up, you. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the show.
First time
notes.
it's contributed.
Yeah, you should
This
add
is
it.
kind of a link.
What's your story?
You've added
This
a
was
link.
a story in Wired that I saw on Zed's Twitter, actually.
Where did Zed get it from?
It was funny.
I
As you
don't know.
Pi, he reduced a video saying what you
No,
can
you
still
did.
do.
You
but-
retweeted it from me.
Yeah, only because I didn't want to tweet it first in case you got hissy at me.
And Jamie
Right.
sent it to
Jamie
me.
sent it to me at the same time he sent
Maybe
Well-
it was John's Twitter I saw. It on there. So why didn't John bring this? I don't know.
I tweeted it. I'm not going to comment on it. I just thought it was an interesting story.
Well,
It's an interesting look back at a DDoS attack that happened in
2016, I think it was.
2016? Yeah, it was a bit of a while ago now. Which was the Mirai botnet. Which for those who don't know, because you live under a rock or you're not a techie, which is fine, that was a big botnet that was based on sort of compromised IP cameras and other IoT devices. It was one of the first of its type that just got all of these root cracks
Yeah.
and just basically turned IT things in.
Relied on the fact that consumers wouldn't change default passwords on
Relied on two
internet
things,
connected
which
devices.
is, yes, that, and also manufacturers never patch their shit.
Yes.
And if they do, it doesn't happen automatically. It's the user's issue to do it. And let's be honest, no user has ever patched anything.
Yeah.
Like, my parents don't even do it. Every time I go over, I have to, do it for them because they don't know how to patch the Skybox, even though you just press update. But it was just really huge botnet that happened to make some multiple 100 gigabit attacks. And it's really interesting story from Wired because it's talking about the reason for the DDoS, which was to attack Minecraft servers.
Yeah.
Which is something we know a little bit about. And it was actually attacking a service provider that we're familiar with, which is OVH, in a data center that our servers are in, which was rather interesting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, didn't we suffer like a 2-year-long DDoS attack on the FTB site?
As short as that?
Before my time, if you did.
Like it was a constant 2-year-long.
Yeah, like
DDoS
we
attack.
get many DDoS attacks daily. Like we don't even look at them anymore. That's why we use OVH. So OVH has this really cool system, which is referenced in the story, so it's still relevant, called VAC, which is this really cool system they have to try and prevent DDoSes. And it's called VAC because it sucks out all the bad traffic.
Is that like Steam's VAC ban or Valve's VAC?
VAC.
VAC ban. No.
No,
Anti-cheat.
It's
Valve anti-cheat.
no. It's a software and hardware thing from memory. I think they now use FPGAs on it, probably because of this attack. And it's basically a way they can filter out traffic very, very quickly. Good job Marco's on holiday because he was getting triggered at this explanation. But, that's fine. And essentially, they got this huge attack. It was, I believe, from when the stories originally broke, it was a 1.1 terabit per second attack.
Jesus.
Yeah, something like that is massive.
It was the largest DDoS attack in the world at that point ever.
To the point where it was taking nodes down along the way to the target.
Yeah. So because of the
Do they know
size
who
of the
started
botnet,
it?
yeah, that's what this story's about. So because of how the DDoS attack worked, typically people were doing like NTP reflection attacks where you've got a few gigabit servers, you'd get 23 gigabits total because you get 23 servers, and you fire that, and it uses 200 meg in because that's how reflection attacks work. But what happened with this was because you had loads of people with like 50 megabits here, 50 megabits there. Most of America has fiber connections or cable connections. They got 100 megabit up. These IP cameras would just DDoS the shit out of stuff, and it actually started crippling other parts. And that's one of the reasons why it was so small, because its capabilities were a lot more, but the actual backbones for the internet started to get saturated. And that was how people started to know about this DDoS attack and what was happening. Poor OVH got hit by 1.1 terabits per second, which their VAC just about coped with, but it realistically didn't. Which was why the next day.
But that wasn't the story of the attack. There was a whole lot more.
No, there was a lot more that ended up getting filtered out just because the packets would not physically go through.
Yeah.
The internet doesn't actually have that much bandwidth.
The trouble with that was that it's
high
just
end.
the sheer volume of devices that were
And
compromised.
you couldn't so typically the way DDoS mitigation works is, particularly with someone like OVH, is you propagate those rules as far upstream as you can. So if you're if I just have a server on the public internet and I'm getting DDoSed, right, I can null that traffic at my network card. I could null it at the application. I can null it at the network card. Null means to drop. I could do it at my switch. I could do it at the firewall before the switch. I could do it at my ISP's switch. They could get their upstream carrier to block it at their switch. Or their router, or their core, and then you can go up from there. So you could go, actually, the attack's coming from Turkey, so fuck it, drop it at, if it's coming from the UK, drop it at BT's input. Don't take it anywhere through that network. The issue is when you've got all of these different IP addresses attacking with like 10 megabits each, you can't realistically start nulling half of America's IP space
because
nobody gets
worldwide
into
as well.
Yeah, it was all over the world. Like every single route on the internet was getting this DDoS.
At one point, they said if you plugged in a camera from a supplier, just a third-party Chinese knockoff camera, plugged it in. Within an hour, it would be infected.
Yeah.
With Mirai.
Wow.
Because it was a self-replicating.
Because it was hunting out, scanning for.
What I always
cameras.
find really interesting about these is that what happens when Mirai infects a camera is that it actually fixes the patch. It patches what it used to get on the camera so that other malware can't attack the same camera. So a lot of these infections will fix the issue, but they then keep a command and control socket open so they can still be controlled. So the guy who is behind it, I'm trying to find the name in this whole thing, but so it was. The truth is made clear in an Alaskan courtroom on Friday, and it's been unsealed by the Justice Department last Wednesday. The teenager who was the brains behind was a 21-year-old now college student from New Jersey, and two of his college-age friends from Pittsburgh and New Orleans. Names of Paras Jahar, Josiah White, and Dalton Norman admitted their role in creating and launching Mirai into the world. It's very interesting because it was originally designed to take Minecraft servers offline. And that was because they wanted to make a new Minecraft service. They wanted to get rid of the big servers. And they wanted to try and make their own. Or they wanted to try and make those big servers pay for DDoS mitigation, essentially. It's interesting because the FBI cite in this article they cite the FBI saying that they spoke to some of the larger Minecraft servers somewhere in here, and I can't remember. And like they make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars during the summer and all this, and I'm like, well, I don't know who they spoke to, but sure, because I can hazard a guess.
I can hazard a guess as well.
But yeah, it's very much interesting. It's a really interesting article. It's a very long article, but if you're interested in tech, you're interested in it's much more about the human factor in that attack rather than the technical factor. But it's an interesting article. I read it for quite a long time last night. Jamie sent it me, and like 20 minutes later, I actually tweeted out about it because it was just such a long article. I wanted to read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. There's probably a few inaccuracies in there, but actually...
It's a bit of an eye-opener with regards to just, like, default supplier passwords on devices.
Yeah. Like, realistically, if you're using default passwords, you need to change them.
This will be an eye-opener.
Yeah, and it was, a year ago when it happened, but, it's... It was interesting. It was interesting at the time as well because it was one of those, like, huge attacks. Because we noticed it. Because OVH's VAC dropped a load of IP addresses out of VAC. They basically just removed anything that was in VAC. And it was like, 10 gigabit DDoS attack? Fuck it. It can go through to the server. It'll deal with it. We need all of VAC on these IP addresses that are being targeted.
Yeah.
And even then, VAC couldn't take it. And I remember OVH, the week after, every carrier they had 100 gigabit with, they took 200 gig from. They just upped all of their link speeds to all of their carriers so that they could have larger DDoS attacks. And I think now their capacity is something like 10 terabits per second.
Jesus, it's as high as that now.
Yeah.
Just
So beforehand they were using, I think, core routers and CPU filtering. Now they use FPGAs, which are also anyone who knows Bitcoin mining, infinitely more powerful because they're designed to do one very specific job.
Yeah.
And they're very quick at doing so. So, yeah, OVH's VAC system, very good, maybe not so good when it's unprepared for such a large attack like that, but all credits to them.
Host half the internet right now, though, along with
they're growing so large at this point because they've done really well. They're a really cool company when you actually look at how they've grown and how much infrastructure they have. They're a very interesting.
I remember 3 or 4 years ago when we first started looking at them and stuff and a lot of Minecraft.
They're really reasonable as well.
Yeah, they're great to good.
You look at their pricing online, it's not bad at all. It's the point where if you're looking for a dedicated server, even as a personal server, 60 quid a month gets you a very decent spec, and it's not, it's the cost of 6 VMs, but it's way more power than you got from 6 VMs, and you have VAC. So yeah, they don't sponsor us. Wish they did. But you know, that's
So what was this story,
a story
you
for
found?
another day.
That was it.
Was that the one?
That was it. That was the one.
Yeah.
I put it in the show notes. Did you not see?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so the states that are currently suing the U.S. government is growing.
Is this for net
For
neutrality?
net neutrality, we have California, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington are
So
all
half of them. Then.
currently suing the United States government. I expect that list to grow to probably
All of them.
50 states will be suing.
All of them.
Um,
It's literally the most disgusting
Do you know?
thing.
Do you know what I find? Do you know what I find really amazing from it? Is that if all of those states are now suing them, why the fuck didn't they just get their congressman to vote correctly? You know, because it's going to go to the House now. So the FCC have made their decision. It now goes into government.
But they can't
Is this a
get
reflection
their
that government are
congressman
going to
to
go
vote
and go?
correctly.
Well, they can.
No, because the congressman has been bought and paid for.
Yeah, but like the fact that, like, if you're a congressman of any of those states and you genuinely value your career as a politician, I don't care how much money you've been paid because you're all in the same fucking boat, right?
Yeah.
You cannot, like, if I represented the whole of California and my state is currently suing the government, of which I am a part of, because of a repeal of net neutrality, I don't think I could
that
stand
I
up
voted for.
and go, I think we should get rid of it. I disagree
Yeah.
with my entire state and the whole justice system. Fuck them.
Do you
We
know
shouldn't
what
have
I've
net
never
neutrality.
understood? And I legitimately...
I assume this is a very short list,
no, well,
hopefully.
there's a very long list of things I don't understand.
I mean,
But there's
same.
one thing I never understood. Is that... Do we all agree, like, the removal of net neutrality is an inherently fairly evil thing to do for the population of the planet?
I think everybody agrees with that, don't they?
Apart from
the FCC,
and
because they have money.
And China.
well, no, China actually does. Like they
China blocks part of it, but they don't throttle the speed. They just go no.
I like the big wigs at the AT&T.
Actually, I think it's just politicians
Actually,
that
do you want to know
net
something?
neutrality.
I actually don't think that the CEOs and people at Verizon and stuff think it's a good idea to get rid of net neutrality. I don't think they think it's a good idea from a human point of view. I think they can go, we can make more money. Let's do that. I think it's a purely business. Obviously,
and
it's a
that's what
purely
I
business.
don't. I just cannot get my head around that. I understand their job is to maximize profits, but when you're doing something that is
But
inherently and obviously evil,
Ask anybody, like, you can go back 20 years, ask any American's opinion on any of the major telecom company, and none of them will be positive.
no, but
Like, everybody's hated these. There are a reason these companies have the lowest customer service
I get
scores
that, but
in America.
they're still run by human beings who at some point have to make the decision to do this.
Yeah,
How does somebody like that go to sleep at night?
because they have money.
Yeah, but is that really such a motivating factor that you're willing to screw over the entire human race?
Have you
for
been
your-
to America?
Yeah, but I've never met anybody quite like that.
Oh, I've met Americans like that.
Really?
Yeah, I
They're-
know Americans like
Their
that.
own self-interest is so...
Yeah, like they're interested in
Bad.
like money and
If it's
maintaining
not their
wealth.
problem, then why do they care?
Because there's a point where you have to...
Like, I am of the belief, genuinely of the belief, if for God's sake, like, if I ever end up owning a large portion of internet infrastructure, that all bits and bytes should be treated equally. Like, I don't care whether you're researching cancer or just trying to, you could be researching breast cancer or you could be researching breasts. I don't care. Like, your cat picture should be the same as a dick pic. Why should a transit carrier care about what the traffic is? Like, there are far better ways to do what they're trying to do that don't affect every other person in the world.
I could understand it if what was happening was bringing the internet to its knees. Like somebody doing a 4K stream was using so much bandwidth that, or like a
But
million
like
people doing
these
a 4K.
days, it's not.
Yeah, and that's
I
the
think
point.
it's because they're trying to bring in or trying to transfer their old
It's that old
businesses
way of doing
It's,
it.
it's the way they used to do things. Like you'd pay extra for, like the Disney Channel,
But they don't. But point. I don't
and
get
that's
that
kind of what they're
But we
trying to
moved
bring
away
in.
from that.
I don't get that mentality. I don't know. I can't
See, this is
comprehend any human
but this-
making a decision.
This
like that.
pissed me off when we started doing this with music services. Like, there was a really good point in music services where Spotify was the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
And we didn't have 6 different streaming services. It was fine. Spotify had everything. And then Taylor Swift threw a dummy out of the fucking pram and was like, no, I don't want to do it. Sorry. No, I don't want to do it anymore. And then like everyone else was like, oh, fuck, I'll make my own service. And then whoever the shitty male singer who went and did Tidal. Who was it, Zed?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. I was going to say Kanye West. I'm glad I didn't. Fucking Jay-Z goes and goes, oh, you know what? I'm going to exclusively release my music on my own music platform before anyone else. Oh, shit, no one's listening to it? Oh, I'll put it on Spotify. And do you want to know the stupidest person in the music industry? Sorry, little rant. Who's just done something
Just a
stupid?
little.
Pharrell Williams. Do you know what he's done?
What's he done?
Have you heard about his latest album?
No.
Then the marketing campaign didn't fucking work because he's just made an exclusive album, one copy of it. And it's made...
Oh, the Wu-Tang Crew did that.
No, one copy of it. And it's on some special fucking clay from France, from a vineyard, and it's going to be put in a place that if global warming doesn't stop, we'll lose the record forever.
Okay, yeah, but Wu-Tang Crew did something.
We'll
very similar
lose
to
it forever. We'll never know what the song sounded like. Pharrell Williams, from the rest of humanity, we don't give a fuck. We don't currently know what it sounds like. We're never going to know what it sounds like. It was a waste of fucking time.
I have got. I have
It's
thought
probably
something.
blank.
I have thought something that would be funny. Actually.
It would actually arguably be better than listening to him.
This idea that revenues is the motivating factor doesn't hold weight anymore because, like, there are plenty of companies out there that manage to make a shit ton of money and still respect the world around them.
No.
Yeah, there are.
No.
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 Apple.
No.
No.
I would disagree with that.
They have a public appearance too. They do not.
Yeah, well,
They don't.
So, like, companies making money out of things
Google
that
have
historically
completely
have
removed
been
their-
included.
their fossil fuel footprint now.
Congratulations, you planted a tree.
Listen. It's more than Verizon have done.
In what? So Verizon should be carbon neutral. It doesn't matter if they repeal net neutrality.
No,
there you go. That's how you solve it. Go plant a tree.
Why isn't that just PR management in a nutshell? Is do
I'm
something
saying-
really
here's
evil,
the
but
thing.
do something else
When
good
it
and
comes to net
promote that.
neutrality, yeah, I can understand what I wouldn't agree with it, but I can understand what they would say if, at the same time as repealing net neutrality, they prevented any company from having a monopoly in a particular area. In
No,
America.
I don't.
I agree.
I
with
don't
you, but
care.
I'm saying I can understand
know,
their point of view.
because they're not going to do that.
No, and that's no.
The whole point of getting rid of net neutrality is to encourage the monopoly.
No, I get they're not going to do it. I'm saying if they repealed net neutrality and removed the
But
monopolies, I could understand.
Do you know
the
what would
concept.
happen? Do you know what would happen in that context? No one would do fucking anything. They're like, we had this discussion before, right?
It works in this country.
No, it doesn't.
No one has a monopoly on the internet in this country.
Yes,
no company.
they do.
Yes,
Who?
they do. BT,
BT
Open
Open Zone. BT Open Reach owns the core infrastructure in the UK.
Yes, but they don't. They're not the company that make the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
They
they
are.
no, they make the core money in the same network as
They're
well.
not retail,
but anybody
but-
can resell from that network.
But they all have
Due
to
to
pay
heavy,
BT.
due to heavy regulation by Ofcom.
Yes, and what I'm
to
saying
ensure
is
that's
why
the
But
couldn't
case.
that same
BT
system work
Open
in
Reach
America?
does exactly the same fucking thing as... No, America can't do that.
Why?
America's infrastructure issue is so large. Like, you do realize, like, America doesn't even own its own railroads anymore. Like, they lease them back from the private industry because America is all about companies.
Yeah, but isn't the network?
All about
Isn't the
companies.
internet network in this country also owned by the private company?
It's
BT?
owned by a public limited company.
Okay.
Or a subsidiary of a public limited company. So it's arguably less evil. But, like, But this is what I was saying. Like, yeah, okay, you want to have better internet? Get Google to do the whole of America. They'll do it, but there'll be a cost, and that cost is all of your data.
So, I have thought something else to talk about. Not talk about, but just mention, because I found it very funny when Lynn told me about this.
As long as it's not Pharrell Williams. I'm
No,
fine.
no. Did you see the story on the internet about the young kid who put out the video about being bullied and everybody started inviting him
I
to
saw
all
that.
types
Right.
of stuff?
Did
you see what happened after that?
I saw the story. I decided not to play the video.
Yeah, no,
I haven't played the video.
I haven't watched
I
it,
have
and
no idea what's happened with it.
I
So
just-
fill us in.
Okay,
Here is your microphone.
I haven't seen the video, but I understand that basically what happened was he put out this kind of little blog post where he was crying about why do people bully him, blah 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 blah, and it went out and it went viral.
Yep.
And all sorts of people were starting to like
I saw the celebrity
sympathize
reactions
with him.
Yeah.
And they offered him like invites to premieres, and Donald Trump said you can stay at my home and all types.
Wait,
They-
Donald Trump.
I know, but my point isn't that. My point is this is where it gets funny. My point is that there was all types of like stuff that came out. And then I don't know if this is true, but this is what I was told yesterday. Apparently, the reason this young kid was getting bullied is because he comes from a white supremacist family and he was calling out black kids at school, and in response they were coming back at him. And that's when he made this video. And without knowing the context of the video, all these people like made him hyper famous and stuck his name out and gave him all sorts of invites. And then it turns out the guy is a little young racist from a white supremacist family, which I find very, very funny.
that just sounds like America.
That just sounds like viral
Do you want
videos
to know
going
something?
viral without context.
Do you want
Yes.
to know something? Serves them fucking right.
Yeah.
I am glad that everybody who was involved
Yeah,
in that
so, yeah.
got metaphorical egg on their face.
Apparently his dad is a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Which is just like...
I mean,
I'd love to see the rollback from this.
I imagine this is going to be more backpedaling than when David Cameron realised he needed to call a referendum.
Yeah.
And that is historically a lot of backpedaling. The Earth actually went slightly the other way that day. Like this might actually affect the solar system. There'll be that much backpedaling.
Because I've had no confirmation. Can somebody watching this confirm this is true, that he does come from like
I'll
a
Google it.
racist family and...
Apparently,
I saw a photo of him with the Confederate flag. So
Oh, really?
that's a slight.
Please
slight
tell me-
indicator.
please tell me he was wearing it as a cape to like.
No,
fancy
it's the kid
dress day.
stood next to him was holding the Confederate flag,
Oh,
and the other one was
fuck's
holding the
sake.
Union Jack. I think they
Can-
were probably his
right.
brothers. You know, it's
Hey,
like a
hey,
family photo.
News outlets. Here's an idea. Can we have some journalistic integrity and actually do some
That would be
fucking
amazing.
research? Oh
But
wait, no. Rupert
thing
Murdoch
is-
still owns you all.
The thing is, these stories blow up on Twitter.
Yeah, which is famed for being able to put context.
Yeah.
Oh, you have 280 characters for it now, but no fucking edit button. Have you seen the news?
No.
They are adding the much requested
Edit button?
way to make threads. So you can make threads even easier now. So now you can tweet like 10,000 characters because it just keeps writing
I thought they were gonna
tweets.
add
And
something
you
that
just
was
press
actually-
tweet
The
and it tweets
worst
them
thing
all.
they did was double the character limit.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I can understand the argument.
Actually,
I don't think they'd doubled it, but I would have liked to have seen like 180. 140 just
No,
feels a little bit...
143 because
Because
there's
that's the
always
estimate.
3 characters that you
Yeah.
kind of need. You need to go
I
back
get
and
that.
fix your punctuation.
No, they
and
should have.
shorten one word.
They should
and
have
just
upped
fuck
it.
it up.
They should have upped it to the maximum SMS.
Yeah,
They should have
which
done
is what,
160, and that would have been
Yeah.
fine. It would have been fine. Nobody cares.
20 characters would have been neither here nor there. It wouldn't have
Should have
made
been locked behind a
these
microtransaction.
insanely long. That
It
makes
should
you
have been
feel
locked
like
behind a microtransaction.
Yeah,
You want 3 characters? It's 99p a character.
you have to buy
Well,
Twitter Plus.
How
For
much do you?
180
Don't give them
characters.
ideas.
How much do you value your tweet? How much do you value grammar? Is it
Yeah.
worth £3? No.
Yeah, if you're on the standard
Fuck.
plan, you get 140 characters. You got to pay for Twitter Plus, so you get 160.
Wait, hang on.
characters.
Isn't this literally what's happening with net neutrality now? It's like, oh, you want Twitter? Oh, pay for it. Got to pay for it now.
But no, in reality, I go through my Twitter
this
feed.
podcast is watched by the bigwigs of throughout the world, and they will take that idea and run with it.
Yeah,
You're to blame now for what's going to happen.
I'm not
They
being
can
funny,
email me,
but
and I'll explain.
yeah,
Don't.
Quetsy will do anything for an Amazon Echo. or for an edit button on Twitter, to be quite honest.
But no, in reality, when I scroll through my Twitter feed now, if a tweet is too long, if it takes up too much of the screen, I just don't bother reading it anymore because it's just going to be waffling. And that's
Do you know what I do?
and I just genuinely skip past the really long tweets.
Literally the only tweets I ever become aware of is the ones that Lynn brings the attention to me. I do not read Twitter anymore. I haven't done.
I
12 months.
read it a lot less than I used to.
I've given up on it.
It's just there's too much noise.
Yes.
And maybe that's just because I'm following the wrong people. Maybe I need to have a clear out. But there's a lot of noise, and having these super long tweets doesn't help with that. It also doesn't help that the timeline is not in fucking chronological order.
Use a third-party
only
Twitter client.
valid use.
Use a third-party Twitter client.
Yeah, I've got TweetDeck.
Yeah. That's
And
first
TweetDeck's-
Yeah,
party.
TweetDeck
TweetDeck's
bloody
first party.
crashing.
Use
That sounds like a you
Tweetbots.
issue.
Tweetbots is really good.
I haven't found a good Twitter client on iOS, but
Tweetbots is really good.
I've got
I'll
that
try.
as well. Didn't really like
I
it.
should try.
Do you want to know something? I'm not a fan of it to 100%. I know Marco is a huge fanboy of it, but it is a good client. It's got a decent UI and UX. It's just what pains me most is I prefer the default app.
Do you know what
I don't know
need?
why. I just do.
Realistically, I need to give somebody, and I know you have it, but I need to give somebody access to the FTB team Twitter account and just have them follow every single mod developer. And every time a mod developer tweets some news about their mod, they retweet it. And then I'll never have to look at Twitter again. That's it.
That is a
bad idea.
bad idea.
Why?
Yeah.
Because that's...
There's a reason why we don't already do that.
Gonna be
What?
spammy.
What?
What?
There'd be
It's a
way
bad
too many
idea.
tweets. There'd be
Why?
way too many tweets.
Like, I would just unfollow the FTB account at that point.
What, if they were tweeting out news about mods?
If they were just retweeting random mod
No,
developers.
not random, just
I don't
with news
think-
about the mods in the pack.
I don't think it should necessarily even be like that. I think it should just tweet out updates to packs and things. That's what people are following it for,
Yeah.
you know.
If they want to see the other...
Because
stuff,
realistic,
they
you
will
know.
follow
Okay,
those
so a mod,
accounts, won't they?
every now and again, yeah, sure. If a mod developer's working on a completely new feature for a mod, sure, retweet it because it makes sense. It's
I'm
going to
going to
affect
honest.
the pack,
If I
but-
had a single Twitter account that I could go to follow, the Twitter account just gave me news about mods, that would be good for me. Because I wouldn't have to follow 40 accounts. I could follow one.
I mean,
But
And I could
that's-
filter out all the shit.
that market size is good. You know,
That's not how Twitter works, though.
one person would like that. It'll work. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm really interested to see how net neutrality goes. I can't wait for it to hit the House and then the Senate. And
I just
whatever
want to
they're-
see America burn to the ground right
Do you want to know
I've had enough
something?
of
Yeah,
America.
I sort of agree with you. They
I've
should
just
just
had
be
enough.
burnt to the ground.
now. They don't
That's-
contribute anything to the world anymore.
No,
Not,
they don't even give us oil.
No, let me rephrase that. They don't contribute anything positive to the world anymore. Or even if they do, the
It-
bad outweighs the good.
Possibly a little tactless to phrase it quite that way with the fires going on in California at the moment, but...
Oh,
See, though, there's a joke to be made there. But
my
I won't.
sympathy is with the people who are
Yeah.
being affected by those. I don't mean anything harsh on the American people. I just mean the country as a whole.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
American
just
Yeah,
people.
push it.
no, I know what you're saying. I know what
American
you're saying. I'm
people,
just
I
saying
have
it probably could
no
be phrased a
problem with.
little bit
There's
better.
a lot of American people that I have a lot of time for. It's not American people I have a problem with. It's America.
I have a problem with
It's-
some American people.
It's like I don't have a problem with people who are religious. I have a problem with the religions.
Yeah.
That's
And the
same
idea
thing.
of religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have no problem with people who are American. It's not their fault they were born in that country.
Yeah, America's it's mainly America's political system that is just
They've literally allowed
there's so much.
To be
in
fair, I
America
think
that's
there's a
just
lot of
fucked.
political systems right now in a bit of a mess.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that is the
Oh,
most
yeah, we didn't discuss.
corrupt nation.
Anyone
in
want to discuss
history.
Brexit?
Huh?
Anyone want to discuss Brexit this
What,
week?
the fact that it's all gone up shit creek
yeah,
since
and
yesterday?
it's not going to happen.
Well,
It's not.
that's looking more and more likely right now.
Yes, it's not. gonna
Apparently,
happen.
the EU turned round a couple of hours ago and said, because they've just earned the right, haven't they, to vote on the. David Davis is an idiot. The guy who's doing negotiations.
Oh, there was an IRN news article about David Davies.
Yeah. He's a prime idiot. He went over there with Theresa May and negotiated this deal. Good or bad, he negotiated the beginning deal that allowed us to open up trade negotiations. And then the very next day, he basically turned around and said the deal that he'd negotiated was a letter of intent and not legally binding, and they could negotiate it even further down the line.
Does he not watch Dragon's Den?
My point is this. So, yes, exactly. Like, so they all got really pissy in Europe because he'd said this.
Yeah.
So Theresa May's gone over now, and they also had the vote last night in the Commons to say, and basically 14 Tories rebelled and said no. Before any deal is signed,
Was it 14 or
14
11?
Conservative Tories
Oh,
rebelled.
okay.
Before any deal is signed, we want to have a say on that deal. So the funny thing is now is if EU have said today,
11.
if those MPs turn around
It was
and say
11
no to that
Conservatives.
deal, they've said, well, that's it. It's tough shit because we're not going to negotiate another deal with you. And that will be it. We'll be in like,
But we can't leave at that point.
well, we're leaving.
No,
We
you-
just won't have a deal.
No, the Article 50 doesn't allow you to do that.
Doesn't allow you to do what?
Doesn't allow you to leave without a negotiation of a deal.
Are you
Yeah,
Because they have said there can be a no deal.
there can be a no deal, but that is the deal. The deal is no deal.
Yeah, well, at that point, there would be no
but
deal.
if it's if the UK government has turned around and gone, we don't like that deal as a parliament, the answer is not then no deal, because the UK parliament have to vote to elect no deal as the deal. So we just turn around and go, we're not deciding. Which is literally the most British way this could have gone, is we'll be standing in the fucking door and we'll just be like, oh, well, we're still here, but don't worry about us.
It's like us trying to wrap the show up.
Yeah, it's like, oh, are we leaving? No, we're not. Oh,
we
are
have
we?
literally
No,
managed
we're
to screw
not.
ourselves completely right with this.
Well,
I would like to actually say this. I didn't have any part in this screwing up
Because you voted to...
because I voted to stay.
Yeah.
And I also didn't elect the people that did this. I apologise profusely on behalf of any of my family members that did vote leave, but I've already had the argument with them, so they can remain nameless. But if you voted leave, you have no sympathy from me on this, and I really hope that it doesn't fuck the country up for like 10 years, because I really want to do awesome shit.
I don't see how right now it doesn't fuck up the country in a couple of years.
It's gonna fuck up.
I actually don't see how it doesn't.
We're gonna have a recession over. It's gonna be horrible.
I don't see
It's
how a
gonna
whole
be
shit ton
horrible.
of industries don't just die overnight.
It's-
like the funny part about all of this is that the person that was campaigning to stay is in charge of us leaving, and how anyone ever thought that was going to go well, I will never know.
Like, just where I live, and I'm not even looking at the rest of the nation, there's at least 6 major employers that will probably shut down straight after Brexit because they won't be able to function anymore. Just because of the customs problems. They won't be able to import goods from Europe.
Yeah, well, I think the issue is like before we were in Europe, we were a manufacturing industry. Our economy was built around manufacturing. You know, Sheffield Steel and coal mines, that was all where our industry was, where our economy was based, and that's not the case anymore. It's all based in London at the banks.
And they're going to be going because they won't be able to trade in Europe anymore, so they'll move.
So
We have right round the corner from where I live. We have a place called.
I can understand why the older generation voted to leave, because they wanted it back to how it was before we
But that's never going to
had
happen.
Europe. But the difference is that like the basis of the economy has completely changed.
I
since
understand that this could never happen, and I understand that it would be like the most controversial thing ever. But honestly, if you are not educated on a subject, you should not be allowed to vote on it.
Do you want to ask the country about that?
I don't care what they say
That
because
happened.
obviously they're going
That
to
went really badly the last time we did that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but
There's a reason why democracy
you like to phone a
is
friend?
bullshit.
Holy shit, they actually did something.
Who?
I'm surprised. So, interesting story. I was literally just browsing the internet, and you know Troy Hunt? I actually said it right for once. I usually call him Tory Hunt, and there's not. Troy Hunt, who you must know, you must have seen some of his articles. He's a really big online person when it comes to internet security and things like that. He tweeted at NatWest because NatWest.com, more specifically personal.natwest.com, wasn't available over HTTPS, so it wasn't encrypted. And in case you don't know, Google Chrome has been rolling out the change that if a page asks for login credentials, it now by default says not secure. And I believe in a not too distant future update, any website that has like a search field or anything where user input is put in that doesn't have an SSL certificate will just be marked as not secure.
Yeah.
Hold on, before you go on, I must have misheard you.
Why?
Did you say NatWest personal banking is not secured behind us?
Oh yeah, no, they
HTTPS?
don't have HTTPS on their main website. They didn't at this point. This is what I'm saying. This is what he tweeted.
No.
So
it's
as-
probably not strictly true. What I
No,
think
no,
is
no, no.
possibly the case there is that it was probably running in mixed mode. So some of the images would have been pulled in.
There was no SSL on it. NatWest.com did not. Personal.natwest.com, which is what their website redirects to, doesn't have it. Now remember, NatWest uses a different website for their actual
does.
online banking.
Yeah.
They have their
It's
marketing website.
NWOLB.com.
Yeah, NatWestOnlineBanking.com.
Yeah.
It's stuck in the 90s. It's a shitty 800 by 600 website. I used to have to use it because we had a business account with them. Not anymore because it was nice because of Barclays. But so they didn't, and they were like, "Oh, it's not important. That doesn't matter." All on the page is links to log in to online banking. And the issue that he raised is that it'd be quite easy to just man in the middle of that website because there's no SSL. And you could just change the link to online banking. And as he suggested, you could just do NUULOOB.com or whatever that shitty thing is.
Yeah.
So it
And-
looked close enough.
And it would look close enough in the browser. And we've seen with this Cyrillic text where you can just use Greek letters in the alphabet.
Yeah.
You do those. And NatWest replied on Twitter with, "Oh, it's not that important, but we'll raise it with the technical team." They have now actually put SSL on the website. So all of NatWest's domains.
Somebody somewhere in that technical team went, "Oh fuck."
I've been saying it for years. I don't understand why websites like I can go and register some really easy like phishing websites for NatWest and for Barclays
They deal
as
with
well.
them constantly.
Yeah, it's like you can get phishing things, but like there's another interesting story that came out this week around HTTPS and SSL, which is to do with extended verification certificates, and they're the certificates that in your URL bar you see, you know, the company name.
Yeah.
So someone got an SSL certificate, extended verification, officially, that said Stripe, Inc. The same as Stripe, Inc., which is the actual payment processing. And the reason for this is that in the America, because they're fucked, as we all know, you can actually register a company in different states with the same name. So they registered a company called Stripe. It was incorporated. They're now allowed to apply for an EVSSL certificate that has the name Stripe Inc. on it. So they just set up a website and they have an EV cert that looks exactly the same to an end user in the browser as the actual Stripe SSL certificate. An extended verification certificate which is meant to be more secure.
Genius.
No, America.
America
That's what I just
and
said.
poor security
No,
design.
genius
But-
is not the same definition as America by any sense of the imagination.
Do you know what my favorite thing, just to end
It
on a
isn't
lighter
if you
note,
ignore the sarcasm.
my favorite thing that happened with the not secure warning in Chrome was when the guy complained at Firefox and filed a bug because his website was suddenly shown as not secure, and they'd never been hacked in the 20 years they'd been on the internet, and then they got hacked.
I don't.
Yeah, but that's because
They now
of
have an
that.
SSL certificate.
It's
but
because
they
the
got
story
hacked
was
again.
publicised, wasn't
Yep,
it?
it was.
Yeah.
Loads of people were like, "That's not how that works," but sure.
We got shit when we first started out and we didn't have an SSL certificate.
Yeah, like anywhere where a user is inputting data should have pretty much at this point any website should have SSL on it.
Yeah, it's
It's the easiest way to stop man-in-the-middle attacks on it.
yeah.
It's
not
a low
not
hanging
difficult
fruit.
these days,
It's
is
low
it?
hanging fruit. And it's free. You can use Let's Encrypt. It's free.
Yeah. Now Let's Encrypt is around. It is a lot easier than it used to be.
I'm pretty
It
sure I
used to
used
have quite a hefty price tag on it if you were just doing a hobby site or something like that.
Do you want to do a wrap up?
Can do.
So next week, Monday, do you have any plans?
I don't know. We're meant to be doing a thing, but who knows?
Watch this space?
So next week is the week leading into Christmas. Monday is a watch this space. Tuesday is
Yeah, I use Let's Encrypt.
a watch this space as well, I guess.
Tuesday.
Hopefully, we're going to do some like
I
Christmas table.
maybe we might do an actual tabletop version of Monopoly. Maybe
Yeah.
we might do poker. Who knows? We were meant to alternate between board game and
Yeah.
casino games. Be interesting to do poker again, but with a bigger group of people.
Wednesday we should be back for modded Minecraft, although I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Wednesday probably will be a modded Minecraft stream. Thursday, the podcast will not be happening. This is the last podcast before the Christmas break.
Yeah.
I'll be back in January with it, with episode -4. Although we might skip straight to 0. I think we're getting towards things.
No, I still want to do a couple more. We're almost there,
Yeah,
but
we're
still have to
nearly
do a
there.
couple
We're
more.
nearly
Yeah,
there.
I think we.
But
could
by going
use
into February, we'll probably be launching the full version.
Full
of the
fat.
Nerd Out podcast.
full fat podcast.
I definitely prefer this layout.
Yeah, this layout works really nicely.
much better.
We just need another one of these, and then fine. So we just can't go Nando's this week.
It's 2 Nando's.
Next
One
Thursday,
Nando's.
big day.
Next Thursday is the 5th birthday of CubeCraft from memory. Yeah, 2012. That would be 2017. Yeah, that's 5 birthdays.
So you're having a
5
little
years old.
celebration-y,
We're officially going to primary school.
Wow.
Oh, actually, we've been in primary school for a year.
little celebratory stream.
Yeah, we'll be doing a stream. We'll be playing some games. We might have some cake. Who knows? It usually ends up being quite fun.
And then that will lead us into the Christmas break, I guess.
Yeah, that's when we finish. So everybody at the office here finishes on the 22nd of December, which is
So
the
we're
Are we
Friday.
going to have a Friday stream as well, or
No, we
No.
won't. CubeCraft won't have a Friday stream that week. It'll literally just be
The
So
Thursday.
next week is the 21st, isn't it? It will then likely be back.
I'd have to
first
look
week
at
of January, I expect?
No, we'll probably take that first week off, and we'll come back the second week of January. I
When are
don't
you
know what
back
date
in the
it will
office?
be. 7th.
Second.
Second.
Oh, okay. 7th is when the sale ends. That's why it's in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would imagine the next stream after
Would be
next week
the
is going to be the 8th.
Yeah, maybe around there.
The 8th.
That'll give us time to kind of
Get the studio back together.
get our heads back in business mode after the Christmas break.
That'll be fun. But yep, so that's gonna be it for this.
Having said that, this is something that me and John discussed. I don't know if Kiri will join us. I will be streaming from FTB1 in the meantime, and John has said he may, if he can find the time, come join me
Yeah,
for
if
bits
you,
and pieces.
over Christmas, I might join from home. Even if I'm not there in terms of like mic and webcam, I might just get my computer out and just play some FTB.
What you
Do
do?
some work on the server.
You are.
You'll probably end up streaming some point over Christmas.
I will be streaming at some point over Christmas. Not strictly like Christmas Day and the immediate days after.
24th,
between Christmas-
26th, I can't stream.
Between Christmas and New Year is probably going to be a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah, 'cause
but
the way you are.
before then and after then yeah.
Do you have
I'm
plans for
going to
New
be
Year?
around.
I usually just stay in.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing something I've
You can
never
come out
done
to mine
before.
if you like. We'll have some.
Yeah,
beers.
if you're around.
I probably will
New
be.
Year,
I'm
we'll
usually
probably-
around New Year's
Yeah.
Eve.
Last year, what did I do last year? Last year I ended up here, and I was watching
We can watch
the
the
London
fireworks
fireworks.
together, yeah.
I watched it in VR because I had it open in 4 tabs because they were streaming at like 40 megabits per second.
We were
So I
actually.
just used a lot of bandwidth.
John never mentioned this. We were actually all meant to be in London last year, but we never quite.
We
got
were
it in.
trying to get it together, but it was
We should see
so
if we can-
expensive.
We should try and sort that out for next
Yeah,
year.
we say this every year
Yeah, but like we could do it
at
now.
this time of year. No, because the tickets don't go on sale till September.
No, but we could get the hotels Near, didn't you say there was hotels where if you're in the hotel?
Yeah, it's Westminster
I
Plaza.
don't think I could commit to a New Year's Eve thing
could,
in
but if you get
September.
no,
I don't think that's a thing.
I don't think I could commit to it this side of this.
If you get
next-
Yeah.
booking, you can cancel it.
Like, if you ask me to commit to something New Year's Eve now, I might just be able to do it. But if you asked me yesterday, then I probably wouldn't be able to.
We'll see.
It's just...
I think that's going to about do it. We're already running over time.
Oh,
We're a minute over.
Wow.
Here we are.
Well, we
But
started a little late, so.
it's okay. I've got to. I'll give Zed a cue because there's a 6 second.
Oh,
lead.
here-
No,
Really?
I'm staying here. You can't give him me. I don't want to be given to Zed.
Okay. Well, I have been John Cole. I found out I'll do. I have been. This has been Kevin joining us. You can find him on Twitter at twitter.com/Slowpoke101 and on other places at that same username. It's been fun. It's been a fun episode.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
been
it
different.
has. And of course, at the end of the table, he's furthest away from me, but maybe not in terms of thoughts. Is of course Mr. Lee Coats. You can find him online. He's Quetsy at most places, apart from Steam, as I learned when we were playing
Yeah,
Monopoly.
there's a few places. It's a
really
very
annoying.
common
Just to
username,
satisfy the
actually.
street.
Yeah, no, don't stand up. We're trying a new format. It's not a standing desk. 1 week it will be. I've been John Coles. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you're enjoying this new format of the stream. And at this point, I'm just waiting to hear the 6 second lead in to our exit, and then we'll be clear. But thank you very much for watching. We will see you back in January. Bye.